Good morning. Ah, look at everybody. You guys are here. I'm so glad. Woo, woo, woo. Wait, I gotta fix it so I can read what you said. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, art music. Oh, you're dealing with ground stuff in art, sending so much love. I love it. Hi, Art. I'm joining early for once. Hope you're well. Oh, Lee, I love you guys. I don't know if you're still here, but I just love you. I love this community. Man, I just feel like we have found some of the best people, and I won't let anybody ruin that. I'm just not going to. Love is stronger than hate. It is. I'm sorry, it is. Because when you love someone, you'll do anything for them. Mostly. You know? So I believe in love over hate and petty bullshit. And I certainly believe in love over strangers on the internet thinking they are doing something. It's just an app. It's just an app. Lee, I'm good. Have a great holiday weekend. Oh, big hugs to you as well, Lee. And Bobo sends her love too. Oh my goodness. And all the babies. Oh, Lee, happy holidays. I hope you get some rest. I hope you get some beautiful, beautiful rest and have some fun and cut loose. That's what I hope. Hi, Neil. Good morning. How are you, darling? Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, it's the day before. Wait, today's Wednesday? Yeah, so it's a day before. It's a day before Thanksgiving. Hey, I have a new. I created a couple new songs on AI last night just because I don't know how to write music. If I did, I should probably learn how to write music and just not like. I shouldn't do AI. I mean, I feel kind of badly actually for doing AI. But I wanted to share. This is a work in progress. It's not done because I got really frustrated with it last night. And so I just fucking was like, I'm not even going to try because I'm so frustrated right now. But I will, it's having a real trouble downloading, but I'm going to play you this because I had a little song written for Lolo's Lounge and I thought it would be good. I'm good. I fell asleep a little early last night while I was listening to the book on Discord, so I fell asleep. And it's always a shocking feeling when you wake up and you're like, "Oh my God, I'm live on I'm on Discord and I'm just there." What am I doing? This is so goofy. Okay, so let me. Oh no! Stop! You're not supposed to sing yet. All right, it's kind of hoppy for the first day of whatever, for the first thing in the morning, but I think it'll be okay. I'll be fine. Turning my frustration into positive energy to fuel my resistance. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. All right, we're going to play this. I made this last night. Oh, man. I hate this thing so much. Where's my... Okay. Okay, my computer just is not... It just doesn't... It hates me. Actually, my computer hates me. It's pretty true. Okay, here we go. This is a little song I wrote last night. Okay, here we go. I didn't sing it. Keep your mic muted on Discord. Don't ask me how I know this. Neil. I do it all the time. I have entire days when my mic is on in Discord. Okay, here we go. I made this. Look at.
Run the time around, shutting the fascists down, fighting the facts so fast we make the 5 times the last down. Lolo's Lounge, the best of damn friends in the whole damn town.
Trinidad, woo! Morning, butterflies.
Rocking round the lounge, shutting the fascists down, finding the facts so fast. We make the fun times last. At Lolo's Lounge, Lolo's Lounge, the best damn friends in the whole damn town.
Oh, see, he's supposed to blow up, but he didn't blow up. I'll have to fix it. He's supposed to Lolo's Lounge. And then I have another song. I did 2 versions of it, similar. They're both swing. But I didn't make a video for that one. But hold on, let me see if I can. I know, it's cute, huh? I think it's kind of cute. Where's the, oh, here we go. I think this is the song. Wait. Oh, wait, that's the same one. Okay, so that's the same one, but then there's a different, slightly different version.
Rocking round the lounge, shutting
I
the
like this one.
fascists down, finding the facts so fast. We make the fun times last at Lolo's Lounge, Lolo's Lounge. The best damn friends in the whole damn town.
I kind of like this one too.
Rocking around the lounge, shutting the fascists down, finding the facts so fast we make the fun times last at Lolo's Lounge, Lolo's Lounge, the best damn friends in the whole damn town.
Yeah, I did it with AI. I like that version a lot. That's a good one. Yeah, no, man, I wish I could write music. I really do. I wish I could write music. I mean, AI is fun, and I feel badly because basically it just takes, from other artists. But I really, 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 really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed. I want to swing. For the resistance part of it, I'd kind of like a swing song, Oh my God, I'm hot. Concerns about, okay, Neil, all the tariff chatter gets people in my company stirred up, looking to my team for answers where there are none. Concerns about what will happen to Custom and Borders Patrol impacting our operations in the U.S. It's really true, Lee. I know there's a lot, just the anticipation can drive a lot of drama. So I'm really sorry about that. This is the problem. This is the problem with an administration like this, is that they just cause complete havoc with words. They haven't even done anything yet, and they can cause complete havoc. Oh, I'm sweating. I hope this isn't. Let me know if that sound bothers the mic. I can't quite tell if it does. And then I have a couple of video clips for us to play. The first one, I can't play the whole thing, but I want to introduce you. Oops. Okay, stop. I want to introduce you to an artist that I met when I was in Liberia. And this is one of my favorite songs of his. And actually, I hung out with him quite a bit when I was in Liberia. He owned a bar, a dance club, actually. And so we would go and hang out after it closed at night and just like sing. And like I sang, I don't know. It was really fun. It was really fun. Anyway, I really like this guy, and I don't know, his songs are really appropriate right now. They're political songs about West Africa, about Liberia in particular, obviously. Anyway, his name is Takun J, and he's just a really cool dude. I really like him. And I'm going to play a little bit of one of his songs that I really like, which I will then not play a lot of. All the pro-Trump provincial premiers up here demanded a meeting with the PM in Trudeau's office. This is the problem. We're the dumb people are like calling the shots, and that's really the problem. Oh yeah, it's good. Okay, well, let me show you this guy. I love him. Taco J. I wish he would be more famous. Like, I think that this is one of my. I told him this too. I'm like, you need to get out there. And this is Liberia. This is Monrovia.
Whip your hands, whip your hands, whip your hands, whip your. Come on. I know you're sleeping now. You gotta whip us more, yeah? Okay, let's go. people fool us, oh. The people lie to us. The government betray us. They can lie, they can steal, they will not go. I said we tired with their lies. We tired with their promises that led us to a lot of damages. We tired with their speech they preach indeed, and now unique they deceive us. The thing we saw, it frustrate us. So why can't you lie? Why can't you steal? Why can't you allow the citizens to beef? You see, we just tell you that why we voted you. But you fool us, you screw us, you use us and later on abuse us. So why? The government should lie. Why? But that's the question that we ask. They lie. Fool us. The people lie to us. The government betray us. They betray us so much.
I'm so baby.
They lie. The people fool us. The people lie to us. The government betray us. They can lie, they can steal, they will not corrupt. No one to trust. My people don't want to hope on. Nobody. My hope that I have been broken. I'm telling you, brother. So where are the schools? Where are the roads?
Okay, we're going to stop because I don't want to get into much trouble. I'll link that video, but I highly recommend Takunje as an artist. He's hard to find. But he should be. He's huge in West Africa. So, or in Liberia in particular, but he's just so good. And his song is about corruption, and it's about under the Ellen Johnson regime or government, right? So what is viewed as a pro-democracy administration, actually for the people living in Liberia, is not necessarily translating that way. And there's a tremendous amount of corruption in Liberia, which makes it close to impossible to get any kind of relief unless you have money. I mean, they had our power cut off for 3 months because we wouldn't pay them a bribe. And that makes sense, as the Westerners in Africa, like I get it, but they do that to their own to their neighbors too. So it's a very cutthroat kind of environment, even under pro-democracy. And that's where this is why I can worry about a government that seems super stable and super wonderful and super this and super that, because any government is subject to that. And so it's like you need artists and others to speak out against it. And I just really like him. So anyway, I wanted to show that to you because he's awesome. Let's see. What else do I have? Hold on. That was you had musical interludes. Whoops, no, that's not what I want. Wait, what? No. Let me find. Let's see. Let me catch up with my friends. Neil, all the tariff chatter in my companies. Okay, working for answers where there are none. Concerns about what will happen to CBP impacting. Okay. Trinidad, California. That does sound lovely. So it's like a little town. I got to go up there. I really like Northern California, like North California. Way up there. All the pro-Trump provincial premiers up here demanded. Oh, yeah. Policy by social media is so chaotic. Will be worse than the first time around. Trying to stand behind regulations for now. Boy, Lee, I think it's going to be really interesting to hear your thoughts as we move through this and get closer to implementation. It must be a really hectic time. As Prime Minister, it makes sense to meet, but the Ontario Premier, a complete oaf, has often said he's a MAGA Trump supporter, 100%. Good luck with your auto industry, pal. I know. Newsom cutting Tesla out of EV credit will hurt. I've been part of shipments to that company from Canada and Mexico. Uh-oh. Is Newsom getting spicy? Is our boy, our beautiful Gavin Newsom with the gorgeous hair, is he getting spicy? Oh my God. I think I have to smoke some weed. Yes, very much so, yeah. Oh, okay. I mean, I mean, I don't have an EV, but I don't. I mean, I don't want things to be like ruined, but I don't know. All right, we're gonna read some stuff this morning. I got a few things for us to read. I got a few things for us to read. Let me make that smaller. Perfect. 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 All right. So thank you to, I can't recall who sent me this story, but I want to continue covering stories of women who are dying at the hands of their own government here in the United States. So I am going to Humboldt. I'm going to a women's shelter tonight in Eureka to maybe help with Thanksgiving. Oh, yes. Oh, Val, what a great thing. Oh man, I want to be Val when I grow up. I'll definitely keep you posted. Mexico's already pushing back. Yeah, I heard that. It will be a shit show, but I also learned some things over the last 8 years to push back within their framework. Hell yeah. That's right. That's right. We got some secrets. Us ladies. We got secrets. Mexico warns tariffs would cost 400,000 U.S. jobs. Good morning, Max. Yeah, I got to check. We're going to look at that. I want to look at Mexico's response, actually. But first, I want to read about another woman who died at the hands of the United States government and Donald Trump. So a third woman died under Texas's abortion ban. Doctors are avoiding DNCs and reaching for riskier miscarriage treatments. This is a ProPublica article. 35-year-old Porsha Ngumezi's case raises questions about how abortion bans are pressuring doctors to avoid standard care, even in straightforward miscarriages. Oh, he did, Val? Okay, I'll take a look for that. No, that's beautiful. All right, here we go. Wrapping his wife in a blanket as she mourned the loss of her pregnancy at 11 weeks, Hope Ngumezi wondered why no obstetrician was coming to see her. Over the course of 6 hours on June 11, 2023, Porsha Ngumezi had bled so much in the emergency department at Houston Medical Sugarland that she needed 2 transfusions. She was anxious to get home to her young sons, but according to a nurse's notes, she was still passing large clots the size of a grapefruit. Hope dialed his mother, a former physician, who was unequivocal. You need a DNC, she told them, referring to dilation and curettage, a common procedure for first trimester miscarriages and abortions. If a doctor could remove the remaining tissue from her uterus, the bleeding would end. But when Dr. Andrew Ryan Davis, the obstetrician on duty, finally arrived, he said it was the hospital's routine to give a drug called misoprostol to help the body pass the tissue, Hope recalled. Hope trusted the doctor. Porsha took the pills, according to records, and the bleeding continued. 3 hours later, her heart stopped. The 35-year-old's death was preventable, according to more than a dozen doctors who reviewed a detailed summary of her case for ProPublica. Some said it raises serious questions about how abortion bans are pressuring doctors to diverge from the standard of care and reach for less effective options that could expose their patients to more risks. Doctors and patients describe similar decisions they've witnessed across the state. It was clear Porsha needed an emergency DNC, the medical expert said. She was hemorrhaging, and the doctors knew she had a blood clotting disorder, which put her at greater danger for excessive and prolonged bleeding. Misoprostol at 11 weeks is not going to work fast enough, said Dr. Amber Trueheart, an OBGYN at the University of New Mexico Center for Reproductive Health. The patient will continue to bleed and have a higher risk of going into hemorrhagic shock. The medical examiner found the cause of death to be hemorrhage. DNCs, a staple of maternal health care, can be life-saving. Doctors insert a straw-like tube into the uterus and gently suction out any remaining pregnancy tissue. Once the uterus is emptied, it can close, usually stopping the bleeding. But because DNCs are used to end pregnancies, the procedure has become tangled up in a state legislation that restricts abortions. In Texas, any doctor who violates the strict law risks up to 99 years in prison. Porsha's is the 5th case ProPublica has reported in which women died after they did not receive a DNC or its second trimester equivalent, a dilation and evacuation. 3 of those deaths were in Texas. Texas doctors told ProPublica the law has changed the way their colleagues see the procedure. Some no longer consider it a first-line treatment, fearing legal repercussions, or dissuaded by the extra legwork required to document the miscarriage and get hospital approval to carry out a DNC. This has occurred, ProPublica found, even in cases like Porsha's, where there isn't a fetal heartbeat or the circumstances should fall under an exception to the law. Some doctors are transferring those patients to other hospitals, which delays their care, or they're defaulting to treatments that aren't the medical standard. Misoprostol, the medicine given to Porsha, is an effective method to complete low-risk miscarriages, but is not recommended when a patient is unstable. The drug is also part of a 2-pill regimen for abortions, yet administering it may draw less scrutiny than a DNC because it requires a smaller medical team and because the drug is commonly used to induce labor and treat postpartum hemorrhage. Since 2022, some Texas women who were bleeding heavily while miscarrying have gone public about only receiving medication when they asked for DNCs. One later passed out in a pool of her own blood. Stigma and fear are there for DNCs in a way that they are not for misoprostol, said Dr. Allison Goulding, an OBGYN in Houston. Doctors assume that a DNC is not standard in Texas anymore, even in cases where it should be recommended. People are afraid. They see DNC as abortion, and abortion is illegal. Doctors and nurses involved in Porsha's care did not respond to multiple requests for comment. Several physicians who reviewed the summary of her case pointed out that Davis's post-mortem notes did not reflect nurses' documented concerns about Porsha's heavy bleeding. After Porsha died, Davis wrote instead that the nurses and other providers described the bleeding as minimal, though no nurses wrote this in the records. ProPublica tried to ask Davis about this discrepancy. He did not respond to emails, texts, or calls. Houston Methodist officials declined to answer a detailed list of questions about Porsha's treatment. They did not comment when asked about whether Davis's approach was the hospital's routine. A spokesperson said that each patient's care is unique to that individual. All Houston Methodist hospitals follow all state laws, the spokesperson added, including the abortion law in place in Texas. We need to see the doctor. Oh, look at those babies. Hope marveled at the energy Porsha had for their 2 sons, ages 5 and 3. Whenever she wasn't working, she was chasing them through the house or dancing with them in the living room. As a finance manager at a charter school system, she was in charge of the household budget. As an engineer for an airline, Hope took them on flights around the world, to Chile, Bali, Guam, Singapore, Argentina. The two had met at Lamar University in Beaumont, Texas. When Porsha and I began dating, Hope said, I already knew I was going to love her. She was magnetic and driven, going on to earn an MBA, but she was also gentle with him, always protecting his feelings. Both were raised in big families, and they wanted to build one of their own. When he learned Porsha was pregnant again in the spring of 2023, Hope wished for a girl. Porsha found a new OBGYN who said she could see her after 11 weeks. 10 weeks in, though, Porsha noticed she was spotting. Over the phone, the obstetrician told her to go to the emergency room if it got worse. To celebrate the end of the school year, Porsha and Hope took their boys to a water park in Austin. And as they headed back on June 11th, Porsha told Hope that the bleeding was heavier. They decided Hope would stay with the boys at home until a relative could take over. Porsha would drive to the emergency room at Houston Methodist Sugar Land, one of 7 community hospitals that are part of the Houston Methodist system. At 6:30 p.m., 3 hours after Porsha arrived at the hospital, she saw huge clots in the toilet. Significant bleeding, the emergency physician wrote. I'm starting to feel a lot of pain, Porsha texted Hope. Around 7:30 p.m., she wrote, she said I might need surgery if I don't stop bleeding. Referring to the nurse at 7:50 p.m., after a nurse changed her second diaper in an hour, come now. Still, the doctor didn't mention a DNC at this point, records show. Medical experts told ProPublica that this wait-and-see approach has become more common under abortion bans. Unless there is overt information indicating that the patient is at significant risk, hospital administrators have told physicians to simply monitor them, said Dr. Robert Carpenter, a maternal fetal medicine specialist who works in several hospital systems in Houston. Methodist declined to share its miscarriage protocols with ProPublica or explain how it is guiding doctors under the abortion ban. As Porsha waited for Hope, a radiologist completed an ultrasound and noted that she had a pregnancy of unknown location. The scan detected a sac-like structure, but no fetus or cardiac activity. This report, combined with her symptoms, indicated she was miscarrying. Hi, Paul J. But the ultrasound record alone was less definitive from a legal perspective, several doctors explained to ProPublica. Since Porsha had not had a prenatal visit, there was no documentation to prove she was 11 weeks along. On what? On paper, this pregnancy of unknown location diagnosis could also suggest that she was only a few weeks into a normally developing pregnancy, when cardiac activity wouldn't be detected. Yeah, but bleeding would. Texas outlaws abortion from the moment of fertilization. A record showing there is no cardiac activity isn't enough to give physicians cover to intervene, experts said. What? I'm so mad about this. I can't even tell you. I probably shouldn't have started with this one. Dr. Gabrielle Taper, who recently worked as an OBGYN resident in Austin, said that she regularly witnessed delays after ultrasound reports like these. If it's a pregnancy of unknown location, if we do something to manage it, is that considered an abortion or not? She said, adding that this was one of the key problems she encountered. After the abortion ban went into effect, she said, there was much more hesitation about when can we intervene? Do we have enough evidence to say this is a miscarriage? How long are we going to wait? What will we use to feel definitive? It's monstrous. At Methodist, the emergency room doctor reached Davis, the on-call OBGYN, to discuss the ultrasound according to records. They agreed on a plan of observation in the hospital to monitor bleeding. Around 8:30 p.m., just after Hope arrived, Porsha passed out. Terrified, he took her head in his hands and tried to bring her back to consciousness. Babe, look at me, he said. Focus. Her blood pressure was dipping dangerously low. She had held off on accepting a blood transfusion until he got there. Now, as she came to, she agreed to receive one and then another. By this point, it was clear that she needed a DNC. More than a dozen OBGYNs who reviewed her case told ProPublica she was hemorrhaging, and the standard of care is to vacuum out the residual tissue so the uterus can clamp down, physicians told ProPublica. Complete the miscarriage and the bleeding will stop, said Dr. Lauren Thaxton, an OBGYN who recently left Texas. At every point, it's kind of shocking, said Daniel Grossman, a professor of obstetrics and gynecology at the University of California, San Francisco, who reviewed Porsha's case. She's having significant blood loss, and the physician didn't move toward aspiration. All Porsha talked about was her devastation of losing the pregnancy. She was cold, crying, and in extreme pain. She wanted to be at home with her boys. Unsure what to say, Hope leaned his chest over the cot, passing his body heat to her. At 9:45 p.m., Esmeralda Acosta, a nurse, wrote that Porsha was continuing to pass large clots the size of a grapefruit. 15 minutes later, when the nurse learned that Davis planned to send Porsha to a floor with fewer nurses, she voiced concern that he wanted to take her out of the emergency room given her condition, according to medical records. At 10:30 p.m., 7 hours after Porsha arrived, Davis came to see her. Hope remembered what his mother had told him on the phone earlier that night. She needs a DNC. The doctor seemed confident about a different approach, misoprostol. If that didn't work, Hope remembers him saying they would move on to the procedure. A pill sounded good to Porsha because the idea of surgery scared her. Davis did not explain that a DNC involved no incisions, just suction, according to Hope, or tell them that it would stop the bleeding faster. The Ngumezis followed his recommendation without question. I'm thinking, he's the OB. He's probably seen this 1,000 times. He probably knows what's right, Hope said. But more than a dozen doctors who reviewed Porsha's case were concerned by this recommendation. Many said it was dangerous to give misoprostol to a woman who's bleeding heavily, especially one with blood clotting disorder. That's not what you do, said Dr. Elliot Main, the former medical director of the California Maternal Quality Care Collaborative and an expert in hemorrhage, after reviewing the case. She needed to go to the operating room, Main and others said. Doctors are obliged to counsel patients on the risks and benefits of all their options, including a DNC. Performing a DNC, though, attracts more attention from colleagues, creating a higher barrier in a state where abortion is illegal, explained Goulding, the OBGYN in Houston. Staff are familiar with misoprostol because it's used for labor, and it only requires a doctor and a nurse to administer it. To do a procedure, on the other hand, a doctor would need to find an operating room, an anesthesiologist, and a nursing team. You have to convince everyone that it is legal and won't put them at risk. Many people may be afraid and misinformed and refuse to participate, even if it's for a miscarriage. Is this really happening? Like, are people refusing to participate? Are people refusing medical care? Why are you not I'm sorry. I have a lot of nurses and doctors in my family. I would hope that they would break the law and save the woman's life. Where is the bravery? Where are the brave doctors in Texas? Where? Davis moved Porsha to a less intensive unit, according to records. Hope wondered why they were leaving the emergency room if the nurse seemed so worried, but instead of pushing back, he rubbed Portia's arms, trying to comfort her. The hospital was reputable. Since we were at Methodist, I felt we could trust the doctors. On their way to the other ward, Porsha complained of chest pain. She kept remarking on it when they got to the new room. From this point forward, there are no nurse's notes recording how much she continued to bleed. My wife says she doesn't feel right, and last time she said that, she passed out, Hope told the nurse. Furious, he tried to hold it together so as not to alarm Porsha. We need to see the doctor, he insisted. Her vital signs looked fine, but many physicians told ProPublica that when healthy pregnant patients are hemorrhaging, their bodies can compensate for a long time until they crash. Any sign of distress, such as chest pain, could be a red flag. The symptom warranted investigation with tests like an electrocardiogram or X-ray, experts said. To them, Portia's case underscored how important it is that doctors be able to intervene before there are signs of a life-threatening emergency. But Davis didn't order any tests, according to records. Around 1:30 a.m., Hope was sitting by Portia's bed, his hands on her chest, telling her, "We are going to figure this out." They were talking about what she might like for breakfast when she began gasping for air. "Help, I need help," he shouted to the nurses through the intercom. "She can't breathe." Hours later, Hope returned to home in a daze. "Is Mommy still at the hospital?" one of his sons asked. Hope nodded. He couldn't find the words to tell the boys they'd lost their mother. He dressed them and drove them to school like the previous day had been a bad dream. He reached for his phone to call Porsha as he did every morning that he dropped the kids off, but then he remembered that he couldn't. Friends kept reaching out. Most of his family's network worked in medicine, and after they said how sorry they were, one after another repeated the same message. All she needed was a DNC. They shouldn't have given her that medication. It's a simple procedure. We do this all the time in Nigeria. Since Porsha died, several families in Texas have spoken publicly about similar circumstances. This May, when Ryan Hamilton's wife was bleeding while miscarrying at 13 weeks, the first doctor they saw at SurePoint Emergency Center, Stephenville, noted no fetal cardiac activity and ordered misoprostol, according to medical records. When they returned because the bleeding got worse, an emergency doctor on call, Kyle Demler, said he couldn't do anything, considering the current stance in Texas, according to Hamilton, who recorded his recollection of the conversation shortly after speaking with Demler. Neither SurePoint Emergency, Stephenville, or Demler responded to several requests. They drove an hour to another hospital asking for a DNC to stop the bleeding, but there too the physician would only prescribe misoprostol, records indicate. Back home, Hamilton's wife continued bleeding until he found her passed out on the bathroom floor. "You don't think it can really happen like that," said Hamilton. "You feel like you're living in some sort of movie. It's so unbelievable." Hi, Teresa. Across Texas, physicians say they blame the law for interfering with medical care. After ProPublica reported last month on 2 women who died after delays in miscarriage care, 111 OBGYN sent a letter to Texas policymakers saying that the law does not allow Texas women to get the life-saving care they need. Dr. Austin Denard, an OBGYN in Dallas, told ProPublica that if one person on a medical team doubts the doctor's choice to proceed with a DNC, the physician might back down. You constantly feel like you have someone looking over your shoulder in a punitive vigilante type of way. Yeah, exactly. The criminal penalties are so chilling, and take Greg Abbott with him. Roll him down a hill. I don't care. The criminal penalties are so chilling that even women with diagnoses included in the law's exceptions are facing delays and denials. Last year, for example, legislators added an update to the ban for patients diagnosed with a preventable premature rupture of membranes in which a patient's water breaks before a fetus can survive. Doctors can still face prosecution for providing abortions in those cases, but they are offered the chance to justify themselves with what's called an affirmative defense, not unlike a murder suspect arguing self-defense. This modest change has not stopped some doctors from transferring those patients instead of treating them. Dr. Allison Gilbert, an OBGYN in Dallas, said doctors send them to her from other hospitals. They didn't feel like other staff members would be comfortable proceeding with the abortion, she said. It's frustrating that places can feel like they still can't act on some of these cases that are clearly emergencies. Women denied treatment for ectopic pregnancies and other exception in the law have filed federal complaints. Oh, I'll definitely link this. I'll put the link in the chat in a second. In response to ProPublica's questions about Houston Methodist guidance on miscarriage management, a spokesperson, Gail Smith, said that the hospital has an ethics committee which can usually respond within hours to help physicians and patients make appropriate decisions in compliance with state laws. Yeah, they do. They need to I'm sorry. I don't understand this. After Porsha died, I would go to jail. I would go to jail. After Porsha died, Davis described in the medical record a patient who looked stable. He was tracking her vital signs, her bleeding was mild, and she was said not to be in distress. He ordered blood work to ensure patient wasn't having concerning bleeding. Medical experts who reviewed Porsha's case couldn't understand why Davis noted that a nurse and other providers reported decreasing bleeding in the emergency department when the records indicated otherwise. He doesn't document the heavy bleeding that the nurse clearly documented, including the significant bleeding that prompted the blood transfusion, which is surprising, Grossman, the UCSF professor, said. Patients who are miscarrying still don't know what to expect from Houston Methodist. This past May, Marlena Stell, a patient with symptoms nearly identical to Porsha's, arrived at another hospital in the system, Houston Methodist The Woodlands. According to medical records, she too was 11 weeks along and bleeding heavily. An ultrasound confirmed there was no fetal heartbeat and indicated the miscarriage wasn't complete. I assumed they would do whatever to get the bleeding to stop, Stell said. Instead, she bled for hours at the hospital. She wanted a DNC to clear out the rest of the tissue, but the doctor gave her methergine, a medication that's typically used after childbirth to stop bleeding, but that isn't standard care in the middle of a miscarriage, doctors told ProPublica. She had heavy bleeding, and she had an ultrasound that's consistent with retained products of conception, said Dr. Jody Abbott, an associate professor of obstetrics and gynecology at Boston University School of Medicine, who reviewed the records. The standard of care would be a DNC. Stell says that instead, she was sent home and told to let the miscarriage take its course. She completed her miscarriage later that night, but doctors who reviewed her case, so similar to Porsha's, said it showed how much of a gamble physicians take when they don't follow the standard of care. She got lucky. She could have died, Abbott said. Houston Methodist did not respond. It hadn't occurred to Hope that the laws governing abortion could have any effect on his wife's miscarriage. Now it's the only explanation that makes sense to him. We all know pregnancies can come out beautifully or horribly, Hope told ProPublica. Instead of putting laws in place to make pregnancies safer, we created laws that put them back in danger. For months, Hope's youngest son didn't understand that his mom was gone. Porsha's long hair had been braided, and any time a toddler saw a woman with braids from afar, he would take off after her, shouting, "That's Mommy." A couple of weeks ago, Hope flew to Amsterdam to quiet his mind. It was his first trip without Porsha, but as he walked the city, he didn't know how to experience it without her. He kept thinking about how she would love the Christmas lights and want to try all the pastries, how she would have teased him when they fell asleep on a boat tour of the canals. I thought getting away would help, he wrote in his journal, but all I've done is imagine her beside me. Oh my God. I don't even know. I don't think I can really talk about it. But I will put it in the chat. Okay. I think that'll come through. Yeah. Okay, that should come through for that. That's a very chilling story. This is why I'm so upset with people that want to consider the election outcome as some kind of like normal result. None of this should be normal. None of it. None of it. And, you know, it can happen to your daughter, okay? So all you dudes who thought you don't want to vote for the lady, or, you know, uh, you're so wildly untamed that no political party can pin you down. So you didn't vote for the Democrats to send a message. You wanted to send a message. So this is to all the message senders. I hope you're happy. I hope you're happy. I hope you're never afraid that your daughter's going to die. I hope you're never afraid of that. So sick of it. I'm so sick of like fucking men mostly talking about, you know, oh, the dumb libtards and all this bullshit. I'm a libtard because I care about people dying? That makes me a libtard? Really? Really? Maybe you should look in the mirror, you people who voted your conscience. Maybe you should look in the mirror. All right, I'm gonna move on. Move on. Can't take this. Can't take this. Yeah, 2x4s. Take care of that immediately. That's right. Anyway, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Bah! I got a few things. I got a few fun things for us to talk about. It's not all bad. It's not all bad. Yeah, we got a few things to read here. So I'm so angry and disappointed in women. I am. I'm so disappointed in white women. I'm sorry. You fucked up. You fucked up. You fucked up. You fucked up. Where does all the impotent rage go? I don't know. I don't know. I'm like trying to figure out, okay, what do I get in the street for? Because I've got a lot of things I can get in the street for. So what am I getting in the street for? And not that it helps. I know it doesn't really necessarily help. Fuck. Fuck men. Fuck women and men. Inside surface of arteries. Yeah. Crazy. It's crazy. All right, anyway. Sorry about that. Let's watch a video because then I will calm down. Maybe I should just calm down. Drama thrombus. Yeah. Let's see. What do I want to watch? Oh, this is a Harry Litman.
Hi, everyone.
Ah,
Harry here.
Sorry, Harry, be quiet. Don't go yet. Hold on. I'm coming, Harry. I'm coming. Ach du Liebe. Well, the thing about it is, the one thing I will say is, I don't want anyone to forget that this is happening to women or birthing people right now. That's my thing. This is happening right now. So I don't want to forget. I don't want to push it out of my brain. I don't want it out of my brain. I want those women and those birthing people in my brain. I'm not looking forward to tomorrow. Have to take a few of these white women in my family. Face a few white women. It should be interesting. Why I travel at Christmas to visit friends, family. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, I wanted to do this video. I don't think Harry will mind. Harry, you don't mind if I take your video, do you, darling? You don't mind, do you? If any of them in my family, they'd be shunned. Yeah, exactly. And ours too, by the way. My family is not anywhere. I am lucky not to have any MAGA in my family. If I do, I don't know them. They're like cousins and shit that I don't know. So I don't know. There might be some. How did we lose? How did women lose? Oh, that's right. Okay. All right, let's watch Harry Littman. I'll smoke a joint and I'll pull my shit together. Was that E Granny I just heard? Where is E Granny? Hey, fellas. Hey, everybody. I'm about to get in the hot tub, but I don't want to break anything. Thank you, Carla. Women are a majority. We still haven't ratified the ERA. God damn. God damn. The fuck is wrong with us? Okay. All right. Harry will make it better. Harry will make it better. But they think there are still Republicans in the world. Mostly they followed their brainwashed husbands. I imagine I could see that happening, Lee. I mean, there's a lot of people like that. It's ERA Granny, yeah. Badger, they're submitting to the husband's wishes. He tells her who to vote for, what to cook, when to serve dinner. How does that does that still happen? I mean, it must obviously, right? I just felt like we moved past that, but we clearly didn't. I don't know. That's so naive.
Here to talk a little bit more about this report from the end of last week
Harry. Just
of Trump's intention to fire all of Jack Smith's team, in addition to Jack Smith, and to deploy the Department of Justice to try to find fraud in battleground states in the 2020 election, the one that he can still not, it still sticks in his craw that he lost. So first, I want to say this is a really big story where we've got a flurry of things happening during the pre-inauguration period. It's happening at quite a fast pace, and one could tend to, this is actually, we're learning more and more how Trumpian this is, to just move fast and sow chaos. And by the time the outrage begins to sort of nest and register from one move, we're on to the next one, and you can't, his enemies can't keep their balance almost. But I talked in another YouTube with Ben Meisles about why the idea of firing the career folks who work for Jack Smith and no one can suggest has done anything wrong is just itself anathema, a kind of concomitant of authoritarian rule. And I want to amplify that a little and then go into the second part of the report, which was kind of overlooked because the first one is such a blockbuster, about the idea of getting the DOJ to go look for fraud from 2020. Okay, starting and to amplify, it is incredibly down the middle of the authoritarian playbook. The whole reason for career service protections in the late 19th century, and they've been an absolute hallmark of the rule of law and growth of the democratic state, especially since the New Deal. Those job protections exist precisely. If you go and look at the statute when they were put into play and you read what was going on, it reads just like Trump's plans here to have people beholden to the so-called spoils system that used to be part of the federal government, Andrew Jackson, a pretty damn, until Trump would have been one of the top 2 or 3. Now he's one of the top 3 or 4 authoritarian presidents. But it meant that people who are working for the government and supposed to serve the American people instead are serving the government, and also just really inefficient. A new person would come in and they'd sweep out all the old folks, and there's no institutional knowledge and all of that. The sense of, in the career staff, of mission, of continuity, just knowing how things are done. A lot of what the department does is fairly complicated. All of that is lost. So it's inane. But I want to draw out a little bit more why it's really imbecilic as well. And I wanted to remind everyone and give a few of the finer details of the story of Andy McCabe. So remember Andy McCabe, he's the deputy director of the FBI. He actually has a complicated professional status within the DOJ. He's sort of part political and part career, which makes, the analogy, if anything, it's going to be worse to try to fire pure career folks. And remember the sort of crystalline nastiness and vengeance and bullying of Trump, ordering him as from president, reaching in on a weekend to fire him hours before his pension would vest. Remember that? Just like completely nasty. And what had McCabe done? He had opened the predicate for an investigation in January 6th, and we got January 6th, and guess what? January 6th, was a righteous case. That's one of the things that, Trump is actually going to try to do, is erase the whole notion of the January 6th prosecution of him, and arguably the 1,000 people prosecuted.
I don't know what date this was.
As, something that was righteous, valid, important. That's a tall order for him. The whole country saw people storm the Capitol, but he's now called them patriots and called it a day of love. It's just completely up is down and down is up. Okay, but McCabe sues, as of course he should, and he's got just this very strong claim because civil servants, we don't have to become experts on it, but it's good to know. Within the DOJ, career employees have all this job protection. Now, it kicks in only for adverse actions, and certainly firing counts as that. But that means that there's a lot of stuff that bosses can do to make career attorneys' lives miserable,
Carla?
That don't count, and there's not much they can do except leave. But, reassignment to a nasty or nowhere division, or, setting their job tasks as, please copy out these transcripts. That's not adverse action, even though it kind of is in practice. But once you start talking about firing people, suspending them, giving them penalties that go on their records, adverse action. And then things kick in and they are pretty full-bodied. So the government, in fact, passed them so people couldn't go immediately to court. They do this instead. So first, the department's going to have to tell people what they did wrong, because you can only fire them for cause. That's the very first cliff that there's no way, it seems to me, that Bondi and Trump can vault across. They've done something wrong, which is to say, what? Even under their crazy view of the prosecutions of Trump, which is that they're politicized, etc., what have career prosecutors done wrong in joining a staff and developing a case? Are they going to somehow try to analogize, say, not just that they were improper prosecutions, but they were like illegal and unconstitutional, and kind of like the very extreme example where at least some would say career attorneys shouldn't follow an illegal order, like, go after this person for discriminatory reasons, or you think of Vietnam and that the whole case there involving My Lai. But It's just, even at the worst, if this were somehow a rank violation of the Constitution, actually working on it, that could be an adverse, something that you would need or you could be fired for. I can't see it. So they can't make the first step. And the first step is the first of like 25 steps. And at the end of the day, lies a big pot of money for anybody who's fired. So back to McCabe. Because they fired him right away, there were certain things within the department he couldn't do, but other people will be able to do. So they can respond to these charges against them. And as I say, I don't even know how you write up those charges. Let's say you're a Trump loyalist and you're brought into the AG's office and you're told, these guys worked on cases against the maximum leader. Write up a adverse action notification. Where do you go? Are people going to just totally make up crap about stealing pencils? It shows each step reveals the underlying weakness and unlawfulness of the whole idea. But anyway, there are steps. You get to respond to it. The person within the agency who decides to terminate you has to be neutral in the sense of not having worked on things. And probably this could actually be tested in terms of not being a political appointee directly beholden to Trump. That's just within the department. That's the stuff that McCabe skipped.
Do you think that Vivek Ramaswamy, who's one of the guys with the chainsaws, talking about how he's going to like cut everybody, at the knees kind of thing. Do you think he knows actually? Do you think Vivek has any idea how this all stuff works? I'm just curious. I mean, because he's supposedly an important person in the Trump orbit, right? And he's in charge of cutting costs at the federal level. Do you think he knows this stuff that Harry's talking about? I just wonder. You guys are so funny. So the crunchy chow mein noodles, those little crunchy ones, they're like little, I don't know, Neil. I suppose you've seen them up there in Canada. But I love the cornflake idea. I think that's a great idea. I'm not a huge fan of like candy like that. I'm more of a hot tamales girl. But I don't know. That's interesting. Anyway, I was just wondering because, I follow Vivek and he's an idiot, a dick, a puny piece of shit. He's a flim-flam man and he's going to flim-flam his way into the government. So I am going to hope for bad things to happen to him. Yeah, I'm sorry. I am sorry. I mean, don't do bad things and I won't wish bad things for you. How about that? How about you think about it before you piss me off? How about that? Haberdashery. All right. Harry, continue.
Because he was shown the door, on a half an hour's notice so that his pension wouldn't vest. But from there are administrative remedies involving potentially the EEOC or the Merit Systems Protection Board. And that's a whole system. It is under the aegis of
Carla,
the executive,
you're like the candy queen.
It is neutral decision makers and the like, and they could rule for you. And then there's the potential of federal court review. And
that's it. That's it right now. Neil says, I reckon not, but they figure they can ram anything through with a compliant Congress and pliable SCOTUS, which is true, Neil. You're not wrong. And then Lee says none of these clowns have any idea how agencies work. Expulsion of experts. Nominate a guy to lead the Navy because he sponsored $1 million dinner for the clown. And I never want to wish that, boy, I kind of almost wish they would fire half of the government so that everybody can see what it's like when we don't have half the government. But of course, I don't want that to happen because people will actually die as a result of that. When they don't get their medicine or they don't get their pay or they don't get their, whatever government service they're seeking. Okay? Yeah, we'd all have time for a strike then. Well, that's a good point. There you go. There's the general strike because we've got half the federal government. They'll be with us. You have crunchy chan. Oh, we just surprised. Oh, yeah. Those have a lot of fat in them too. That's why it's good to use the cornflakes. I think they probably have less fat because I think those chow mein noodles have a lot of fat in them. Unfortunately, I love them. Man, I used to eat those when I was a kid all the time, but haven't eaten them in a long time. But anyway, I know we're going between like federal service and crunchy chow mein noodles. This is what we do at Lolo's Lounge. We do everything. We'll be making sugar cookie crust apple pie with Northern Spy apples. Okay, I can't get those apples here, Max. I might try to make that. I might try to stream. Well, I'm going to stream on Thanksgiving because I have nothing really to do. I'm not going to my family's, unfortunately. I'm going to go to my family's for Christmas, but not for Thanksgiving. Granny's? Okay, Granny Smith. All right, good. I can get those. Those I can get. I'll say it again. December 20th shutdown deadline. Will they use that to dump federal employees? I wonder. December 20th. I wonder. Oh, God. This is just so... Here we are, back again. God damn it. We're back to worrying about what our government does. I'm sorry. We were always worried. I'm just kidding. All right, I want to... Oh, actually, we're going to continue with Harry. Sorry. Okay, here we go.
McCabe was able to say, you violated all my procedural rights. You also violated the First Amendment. And the department didn't have a leg to stand on. It was under Biden, but they were fighting it as the department just does when they're sued. But the hand that Trump had left for them was unplayable. So at the end of the day, McCabe got back pay. He got his pension reinstated. He got all his lawyer's fees. He got, close to $1 million. That's one guy. So the system, I don't see why it would work differently with career attorneys. Now, one thing to note, McCabe had to soldier through and have either special arrangements for paying lawyers until you got to that final point, or maybe there were, some kind of pro bono arrangements. He had a very fine lawyer, also a DOJ alum, who represented him. But one way they could try to make their lives miserable is just bring crappy lawsuits that make you have to get lawyers. And we're talking about career civil servants who have foregone much more money in the private sector because they want to work for the DOJ. They can't, write a check for $250,000. But on that end, it looks to me like there's all kinds of organization and effort afoot to bring representation to people, to do it pro bono or on other terms. So as long as this doesn't become, hundreds and hundreds, and that would basically take up, a huge amount of time in the DOJ, that problem may be able to be avoided just by, the resistance force that is forming in pretty sweeping numbers, as best that I can tell. Okay, so that is the story.
But where is the resistance
sort of filling
force?
in the blanks of why it's doomed to failure if they try to do this. One other point is you could imagine an arch aggressive constitutional argument by the department. I know they have all these rights, but guess what? The president says they don't have them, and to then permit them would be a violation of executive power. What I say goes. What's classified is what I say is classified. What cases we bring are what I say we bring. I don't see how that flies because the law is pretty clear. Once you have due process protections, you can't lose them, at least willy-nilly. So even if they permitted the department to wipe them out going forward, which would be just an earth-shaking move within the federal government staff, for starters, it wouldn't help them sack the people whom Trump now wants to sack, the career staff for Jack Smith. So Smith will be long gone by January 20th, and maybe, along with others, there are people who are definitely looking for the doors now. We've just dropped a podcast on Talking Feds today with two great DOJ alums and the New York Times reporter Katie Benner, who speak to what's looking to
That
be a
was a
real
very good
exodus and
episode.
a
I'll
real
link that
crisis
in the
within
description as
DOJ.
well.
And,
With this.
that's the shakeup, even at its best, even if they can parry what they're trying to do here and wind up getting damages and the like, the overall sort of assault on the norm of continuity and integrity for DOJ career attorneys is just hellacious.
Yikes.
Talk to you later.
Thanks. Thank you, Harry. Thank you, Harry. Yeah. That was a very good podcast, too, with Katie Benner and et al. And I'll link that one, too, because it was good. It was good. I can't play the whole thing here, but very disappointing in Nova Scotia. What happened? Did they really? I thought that the election was going better in Nova Scotia. Why did I think that? Was that another part of the Northeast of Canada that voted for Liberal PM or government or whatever? I'm so sorry I missed that. I did not know that. I'm telling you, there's a lot more weird. I don't know. It's just weird. It's like a blip. It's like that Avengers movie where everybody disappears for like 5 years. Because Thanos has pushed the wrong gem or something. I don't know. Whatever the fuck he did. He snapped his fingers and everybody blipped out. I feel like we've been in a blip. Huge conservative majority. Oh, wow. That is so disappointing. I think there will be a general strike. I do. I think there's going to be. I don't know when it's going to come, but I think there's going to be a general strike. If things are as weird as they say they are going to be. You know what I mean? I could see that happening. I mean, the Women's March happened, okay? Whether or not we want to memory hole that, there was a large contingent of people involved in the Women's March. And I understand that since that time, we've become less prone to mass protests. Certainly, there are those heroes on the front line continuing it. Yeah, no hats, please. Thank you so much. Oh, my God. I never did do that. I'm sorry. Conservatives won 43 of 55 seats in yesterday's election. Solid win for the bad guys. Fuck! What is going on? What is going on? Yikes. Okay. I want to read what Teresa just dropped in the DMs. Thank you, darling Teresa. We love you. Oh, he's going to do it all. He's going to do it all, isn't he? He's going to do it all. Right, Max? He's going to dismantle the student debt cancellations. I don't know. I mean, I'm just like, I don't even know. It's so anxious. It's such an anxious time. That's really what's killing me. Okay, let me try and make this a little bigger. There we go. There, you still get some fire. Okay. This is a post shared by Teresa, who's in the chat. Yeah. Breaking from Mexico, President Claudia Sheinbaum has just penned a letter to Donald Trump. It's brilliant, firm, and unflinching. A document that will set the tone for an entirely new era of U.S.-Mexican relations. I've posted the English translation below. Dear President-elect Rump, I'm writing to you regarding your statement on Monday, November 25th, concerning migration, fentanyl trafficking, and tariffs. You may not be aware that Mexico has developed a comprehensive policy to assist migrants from different parts of the world who cross our territory en route to the southern border of the United States. As a result, and according to data from your country's Custom and Border Protection, encounters at the Mexico-United States border have decreased by 75% between December 2023 and November 2024. Moreover, half of those who arrive do so through a legally scheduled appointment under the United States CBP-1 program. For these reasons, migrant caravans no longer arrive at the border. Even so, it is clear that we must work together to create a new labor mobility model that is necessary for your country, as well as address the root causes that compel families to leave their home out of necessity. If even a small percentage of what the United States allocates to war were instead dedicated to building peace and fostering development, it would address the underlying causes of human mobility. Hi, gal. On another note, and for humanitarian reasons, Mexico has consistently expressed its willingness to help prevent the fentanyl epidemic in the United States from continuing. This is, after all, a public health and consumption problem within your society. So far this year, Mexican armed forces and prosecutors have seized tons of various types of drugs, 10,340 firearms, and have detained 15,640 individuals for violence related to drug trafficking. Furthermore, the Mexican Congress is in the process of approving a constitutional reform to classify the production, distribution, and commercialization of fentanyl and other synthetic drugs as a serious crime without bail. However, it is publicly known that the chemical precursors used to produce this and other synthetic drugs are illegally entering Canada, the United States, and Mexico from Asian countries. This underscores the urgent need for international collaboration. You must also be aware of the illegal trafficking of firearms into my country from the United States. 70% of the illegal weapons seized from criminals in Mexico came from your country. We do not produce these weapons, nor do we consume synthetic drugs. Tragically, it is in our country that lives are lost due to the violence resulting from meeting the drug demand in yours. President Trump, migration and drug consumption in the United States cannot be addressed through threats or tariffs. What is needed is cooperation and mutual understanding to tackle these significant challenges. For every tariff, there will be a response in kind until we put at risk our shared enterprises. Yes, shared. For instance, among Mexico's main exporters to the United States are General Motors, Stellantis, and Ford Motor Company, which arrived in Mexico 80 years ago. Why impose a tariff that would jeopardize them? Such a measure would be unacceptable and would lead to inflation and job losses in both the United States and Mexico. I'm convinced that North America's economic strength lies in maintaining our trade partnership. This allows us to remain competitive against other economic blocs. For this reason, I believe that dialogue is the best path to understanding, peace, and prosperity for our nations. I hope our teams can meet soon to continue building joint solutions. There you go. Sadly, I'm afraid our president-elect is not literate enough to be able to understand such a thoughtful and caring message from our wonderful neighbors in the South. I agree with you, Max. That is not really in his wheelhouse, if you will. Cigarette. Oh yeah, what are we doing? Marlboro chocolate cake. I need that recipe. I hope, Carla, are you able to drop recipes easily? I know sometimes retyping out recipes can be a real pain in the ass. But is there a way you could like drop a picture of a recipe in the Discord or something? Because that Marlboro chocolate cake looks really good. I mean, dark cocoa and chili powder, I'm in. I love chili powder so much. I could probably put that in just about anything. Let's see. I want to, what is it, this? Oh, this was Potty Mouth shared this on Blue Sky, and I thought it was great. Hi, gal. Good morning, darling. I have your, I want to read the Jackson Hinkle stuff. I'm going to read that next. Oh, I love tahine. Oh, Paulina, I put tahine on almost everything. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I love tahine on oranges and like cantaloupe. Oh, mama. Man, that's so good. You know who taught me that? The middle schoolers in Watsonville. He did? Oh my God, Paulina, that's amazing. Well, thank your brother, because that I have that in my cabinet right now and use it oh my God. I'm going to tell you right now, it was the middle school girls in Watsonville who, when we would have like the after school program, they would have a snack, and the school would, or, some of the volunteers would make them a snack. And the girls were like, "You got to do this, miss. You got to do this." And it's like tahine on an orange slice. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. It's amazing. It's amazing. I'm going to tell you right now. It's so amazing. Anyway, thank your brother. It's delicious. It's right now. Go out and get yourself. And they have the liquid tahine too, right? Don't they have a liquid? I haven't tried that yet. Northern Musk. This was Potty Mouth shared this. President Biden didn't get credit for 4 years. Greatest economy in 5. Yeah, like Chamoy. Yeah. My mouth is literally watering. That's so good. Okay, greatest economy in 5 decades. Stock market at an all-time high. 4.1% unemployment and GDP at 2.2%. And then we all saw was clickbait bad news. Now all of a sudden we have this great economic news. Absolutely stunning how these bastards change their tunes. This is USA Today. Thanksgiving dinner's more affordable. Look at everybody. Prices magically came down. Anyway, I thought that was like too much. All right, let's see. I'm gonna read my little friend Gal's thing. I'm already subscribed. Stop it. I'm just not signed in, for crying out loud. All right, I'm gonna light a joint first. Yeah, that stuff is. Put it in my veins. You know what else I really love? I love hot sauce. I just love hot sauce. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to fuck with Cholula every time. That stuff is so good. I don't know what it is, but that stuff I really love. I hate to say this, but I almost prefer it over Tapatio. Is that bad? I really do. I love Cholula a little more than I like Tapatio, and I don't know what's different about them. It might be the pepper. I'm not really sure. But I really, really, really enjoy that. Oh, man. You know what I really want to develop a taste of is kimchi. I know I'm switching genres, but Bobo loves kimchi, and I really want. I know it's good for you. I don't dislike like sauerkraut and stuff. I just have never found a reason to like have the kimchi. I got to do that. Hi, Carrie. Good morning. How are you, darling? Welcome, welcome. Did you watch Jackson Hinkle? He shouldn't be allowed to re-enter. No. Is that in this link? Is that in this one? Oh, this is from 2022, isn't it? All right. Well, I'm going to read this, and then I know, a lot of probiotics. Need it with spicy, savory. Ooh, yummy, yummy, yummy. Sometimes it's the vinegar-based hot sauces I don't like Tabasco is gross to me. Buffalo sauce is nasty. That's so interesting. Oh, thanks, Gal. I know. I'm going to do it. This is before the end of this year, I'm going to find my love for kimchi. You're not so angry today? Hooray. Well, don't watch the beginning of the show. That's all I have to say. Don't watch the story I read about yet more women dying at the hands of the Texas government. Yeah, okay. Let me read this because this is I love these background pieces. I really do. I really fucking do. I so appreciate Kimchi loves me. And I do love the drag queen Kimchi. So there's that too. But anyway. Oh, awesome. Thank you, Gal. All right. So who the fuck is Jackson Hinkle? This is from 2022, Gal Suburban's Subsnack. From Teen Vogue's top 8 young environmentalists to the front page of Rumble pushing Russian propaganda. Yeah, why is it called a Marlboro cake? I don't know how to say that word. That is hard for my mouth to say. Jackson Hinkle is the host of the video podcast The Dive, a show whose show tagline is propaganda made by and for the proletariat. A couple of weeks ago, Jim Stewartson and I noticed that his show was on the front page of Rumble. Oh, okay. Yeah, you want to avoid that one. But there's some good music in the beginning, so maybe. Marlboro is a town. It's not spelled like that, right? But it is a town in Mass. All right. His Putin-loving propaganda apparently delighted the Tucker Carlson authoritarian Nazi staff at Fox and gave him a segment. I think. Okay, that's another thing. Sometimes these things are so like oddly formatted. Today, somehow I ended up watching this little punk on his stream and decided to see where the hell he came from. Did Richard Spencer have a baby that I didn't know about? It turns out it's a weird story that needs more looking into. Take Jackson's introduction this morning. Oh, Take Jackson's introduction this morning. Shows war criminal Vladimir Putin walking down hallways while the Rolling Stones song Satisfaction plays. Hinkle explains that the music video he crafted is to describe what Ukrainians and Europeans are feeling because of Putin's unprovoked war. Jackson says they can't get what they want, and they're also not going to get what they need, and that's energy in time for winter. His Nazi smirk about human beings freezing to death in the cold is just evidence of the callousness of Putin's American propagandists. Did I miss something? I'm probably missing something. Oh, damn. I'm so dumb. Lolo, they use different pepper. Pekin and arbol pepper. Tapatio uses aged cayenne peppers. Oh. That would make sense. Thank you, butterflies. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know why. Over the years, I guess I just have a preference for Cholula. Considering the recent indictment of Moscow resident Alexander Viktorovich Ayonov for allegedly funding Russian propaganda with an aim to exploit division in the United States. Oh my God. That doesn't really happen. Because we don't talk about it. Oh wait, let me just put this out. I'll come back to you. Beautiful joint. No, come on. Go out. Okay. With an aim to exploit division in the United States, including some far left activist groups, it's not a stretch to think that maybe Jackson Hinkle had some lessons in bullshit. I think Jackson's definitely one of the other. I know. Sorry. Don't be angry. Including some far left activist groups, it's not a stretch to think that maybe Jackson Hinkle had some lessons in bullshit. If you have not read the Byline Times report by Matt Bernardini and Heidi Kuda, now would be a good time to do that. I have not read that. Agitation and propaganda. Russian indicted for using U.S. political groups as foreign agents. He is accused of using members of U.S. groups as foreign agents in Russian intelligence in malign influence operations. Wow, it just feels like now we've known this for so many years, and yet we had one indictment. One indictment. Did you see the DOD V on Elon, how he had not contracted military? No. I mean, I didn't. Okay. He is accused of using... Okay. Right. In it, they discuss how Ionov, with other FSB agents, funded and directed organizations to push extreme content and pro-Russian narratives with the goal of creating anti-democratic sentiment and division. I find Heidi's mention here about the FSB financing city council candidates may be relevant, and it's also why I say take a deeper look at Jackson Hinkle is needed. Heidi, beautiful Heidi. Amazing that the Justice Department Ionov indicted included granular details on how the FSB cut out financed city council candidates and fake leftist groups. Interesting. Jackson Hinkle happened to run for San Clemente City Council. He received the Orange County Peace Coalition's 2018 Rising Star Award. There he is with his little award. His little face, a little Adderall face. I found a write-up about Jackson Hinkle, candidate for San Clemente City Council, from September 26, 2019 on a website, green.org. The write-up is archived here. In it, the writer interviews Hinkle, where they discuss his community organizing and activism surrounding plastics and solar panels. He apparently led an initiative to have solar panels installed at California high schools. Additionally, it states that he spoke to U.S. Congress, briefing them on nuclear power plant safety and nuclear waste storage issues. All of this seems incredibly advanced for, at the time, a 17-year-old who now spouts Putin talking points. There he is. Meet Jackson Hinkle. Hinkle is almost unrecognizable in this video he did in 2020. His appearance, voice, and even the way he structures his statements are so far removed from the guy we see today on his Rumble-featured podcast. Right. Why aren't you playing? Is it not playing? Oh, is that not a link? It's probably... It's just a picture, dummy. Jackson Hinkle is a community organizer and the founder of the independent media outlet The Dive. He is also a former candidate for San Clemente City Council. He spent his career organizing around the issues of climate and sustainability, nuclear waste storage, anti-imperialism, and various other leftist causes. Jackson has briefed U.S. Congress on the safe storage of nuclear waste, helped organize a student-led initiative that converted 6 high school campuses to solar power, and spearheaded a movement that ended the sale of plastic water bottles on over 60 campuses in his school district. Jackson was named as one of Teen Vogue's top 8 young environmentalists of 2017 and as the Orange County Peace Coalition's Rising Star of 2018. Today, he spends his time combating the corporate-controlled narratives on the mainstream media by holding important conversations with movement leaders, elected officials, candidates for public office, and other influential figures on his media outlet, The Dive. He might have. However, in the interview, he does mention one particular person that tosses up the red flag warning, Tulsi Gabbard. Considering this recent data point that Mike Flynn fanboys over Tulsi's musings on Russia and Ukraine, it's probably safe to assume that the secondary infection continues. Remember, we watched the infection project, which is all connected.
Give a warm welcome to everyone who's tuning in. I'm here with Jackson Hinkle, who's an impassioned political activist, a former city council candidate, and he is the host of his own YouTube show called The Dive. A longtime friend of mine and someone I've had the pleasure to get to know and work with throughout the years. And so, yeah, man, it's a pleasure to, I'd love to give you a warm welcome to One Earth Live. And yeah, it's a pleasure to be speaking with you, man.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Bye, Pauline. I love you.
So I've been, invited to kind of open up the conversation around what this time means for us collectively and as young people working on, things that we're passionate about and, out here trying to affect positive change. I'd like to start the conversation off just kind of, tell us a little bit about what you've been working on, what you've been focused on throughout this last few months as this, crazy global pandemic has been transpiring. So yeah, let us know a little more about what you've been working on.
Yeah, it's been definitely pretty nuts. I live in California, so we were one of the first states in the US to, take precautions and do the stay-at-home stuff, and I'm thankful for that. But that also means that traditional activism, as far as going out and protesting or canvassing for candidates that I liked or whatever, had to be put on hold. So, and you can't do meetings, you can't do any of that stuff, as we all know. So it was kind of a really beautiful timing for me because I had just started at the beginning of all of this. I had just started a independent online media outlet from
We're gonna find
a YouTube
out.
channel that I call The Dive, where I talk about politics, news, and I bring on people who I think are inspiring or, candidates for public office who I think are leading in the right direction. And we talk about what's going on, what they're doing, the news of the day, and, stuff like this. So it's been pretty cool timing because now that everyone's trapped at home on their computer, it makes for a good viewership and a lot of people tuning in for good discussions, and people are available for those discussions. So it's been a lot of fun, and I think it's made the transition quite easy for me in the midst of all of this.
Yeah, it's really good feeling to have something to focus your energy on. I feel like I have something similar here with the One Earth Live interviews and being able to have these conversations. How have you been adapting your model to work through COVID as far as hosting interviews and like speaking with guests and stuff? Have you been doing it over Zoom or what?
Yeah, so definitely like pretty much all over Zoom. The first I remember, like the first I heard about COVID was like right before I went on a trip with my girlfriend up to San Francisco, and we had kind of heard about coronavirus and like it was starting to make its way into the airwaves in the US, and that week was the last in-person interview I did, and it was with Congresswoman and at the time presidential candidate Tulsi Gabbard. And we talked about a lot of stuff. And then from there on out, everything I've done has been with, various candidates and movement organizers and people
Tulsi
who didn't
found
even
him.
really weren't doing what they were doing before coronavirus. Like we had on just 2 weeks ago, we had on the show Chris Smalls, who's leading the Amazon strike, international Amazon strike. And he was on 60 Minutes just 2 nights ago. So it's kind of interesting that we've been able to birth new discussions out of all of this. And, that comes with the times. But yeah, everything's been on Zoom. And fortunately, we have stuff like this and the technology to continue these discussions, because if we didn't, I don't know what we'd all be doing right
now. Yeah. Even his grooming and mode of dress changed. Everything, right? Everything. Money, money, money. Power pussy paper. Is that what we said last week? In addition to that strange award, which simply no longer could describe what Hinkle propagates on a daily basis, he was also named Teen Vogue's top young 8 environmentalists. Jackson Hinkle, 17. Oh, like a baby. Jackson Hinkle, an avid surfer, has always been aware of the issue of plastic pollution and its effects on ocean ecosystems. Why are they all surfers? They're giving surfers a bad name. Mike Flynn, Tulsi Gabbard. Why are all the shitheads, pushing the surfing angle? Because frankly, they are so not surfers, okay? I grew up with surfers. All right? Fuck that shit. That's not how surfers roll. Period. Never. Well, and if they do, they're idiots. Fucking idiots. Yeah, they're stupid surfers, apparently. But anyway. It's not right. It's not right. It's not right. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Money? I don't know. I don't get it. It's like everybody that engages in this. I'm like, I don't get it. The insurgency is environmentally friendly and fascistically authoritarian. Here's the thing, though. Don't they realize that the environment will not be helped by the demagogues? I don't understand that. Is that are they can't be willing to pay that price for whatever other power they get, right? Like it cannot be there's nothing about this guy that tells me that he's doing this because he thinks he's going to achieve some greater goal. Yeah, hey, I've seen Point Break. We're going to watch that movie, by the way. I love Point Break. It's a recruitment messaging tool. Yes. Well, yes. It's just interesting to me, the whole surfing angle. But anyway, when he became a water ambassador for the water effect at the Ecology Center, that he began to realize how far-reaching the threats of plastic water bottles are. A profile of Jackson Hinkle on Crazy Progressives, aka the far left, says, Jackson's political commentary is populist in nature, and his understanding of political issues belies his young age. As comfortable in front of the camera as he is leading a Medicare for all or $15 minimum wage march on Congress, young Jackson is laying down the foundation for a terrific presence on the progressive media landscape. Wow. Crazy progressives. Yeah, to pull the left into eco-fascism, which, yeah, nothing about this pro-Trump rant today. And this is 2022, right? 2022 is when Gal put this together. Here he is later.
So this is what's happening right now. So it's all a part of a large effort to bring Trump down. And now they have nothing, so they're resorting to obstruction of justice. It's just absolutely crazy what we're witnessing right now. Can't say I'm all that surprised by this, but the last thing I'll say about this is, really? So we're going to prevent the president of the United States from running for office potentially. And I have to be careful with how I phrase this stuff. From running a campaign free of criminal investigation, I guess we'll say is the most YouTube-friendly way of putting it. Because of a few allegedly misidentified documents He's the president of the United States. You really think he's going through all these documents? You think he knows what's going on? He's got a team of attorneys that deal with this stuff. Thousands, tens of thousands of documents. Okay, tens of thousands of documents. And a few of them may have been misfiled, and we're going to stop this guy from running for president. We're going to criminally charge him over that. Okay. Bill Clinton flies on the Lolita Express 26 times, goes to Jeffrey and Epstein private island. You got, Pelosi, you got the insider trading. You got Hunter Biden. Don't even get me started with the laptop there, the illicit drug use, the prostitution, the corrupt business dealings with, the big guy gets 10%. But Trump can't run for president. Trump can't run for office again because he misfiled a few documents. His team misfiled a few documents, allegedly, or they obstructed the bullshit investigation to raid his private residence, something that's never been done before because of a few allegedly misidentified documents. You understand how insane that is? You understand the precedent that sets for anyone who actually challenges the deep state? Trump doesn't even really challenge the deep state. Maybe like a 3% challenge to the deep state that Trump poses, okay? Imagine if you actually had someone that really challenged the deep state that was running for office. What would they do to them? Okay, it'd be like JFK like that, RFK like that. It's insane.
Yes, you are insane. You are insane. As I said up top, more investigation into Jackson Hinkle's transformation from surfer boy environmentalist to Kremlin propaganda spewing pretty boy Nazi is certainly warranted. Hinkle seems to be a candidate for a case study in the capture of the issues that matter to the American political left. Personally, Ron Paul and his cohort of conspiratorial anti-government bullshit may be to blame for some of it. Hinkle's show The Dive is sponsored by Birch Gold, which he mentions also sponsors Ron Paul. A deep dive into Birch Gold is something for another day, but a quick search shows that they also sponsor Steve Bannon's War Room, podcast 7 Minions Dominionist Lance Wallnow, Hugh Hewitt's podcast, RSBN's network, and Ben Shapiro. So that should give you a quick idea of Birch Gold's audience. If we are ever going to temper the extreme polarization in America, people like Jackson Hinkle are where we need to start. De-radicalization, regulation on disinformation, and certainly campaign finance reform are actual solutions that deserve some serious discussion. Oh, I love you so much. I love you. Gal, you're so amazing. Fuck, man, you're so smart. You're just fucking smart. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, not sorry. Oh, this was the thing that also that Potty Mouth tagged me in on Twitter. So how did that email? What is a fascist president? Okay, so this is from American Muckrakers. I should go to the original post. Okay, so where is it? So this, oh man, damn it. This is an email. I need to see this picture bigger. Can I see it bigger? Can I? No, I can't. Okay. Let me see. Nope. Oh, see, it's not making it bigger. Oh, fuck you. Okay. Sorry, everybody. Okay. I thought there was the American Muckrakers. Oh. How did that email? Okay. Well, anyway, this apparently is an email about taking the guns, but I wanted to see, where's the blow up of it? Dang it. Oh, man, I'm sorry. Let me fix that, and then I'll come back to it. But anyway, that is something I want to look at because Roger Stone just seems to be kind of slyly active, right? His name comes up in the Iran hacking, and now this. Like, there's just something, I'm sure that it's something's amiss. Something's amiss with Roger Stone. He's up to something. That's what I'm trying to say. He's up to something. All right, let me see if I can find this other. Ugh. Yikes, Mikes. Hold on. Do 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 do. Ooh, oh, oh, mm, mm. Hold on, just a second. I have something here that I wanted to look at. Oh man, did I miss that? Oh, damn. There was a space by Tori Says, that idiot operative for whoever, I don't even know, Flynn, or she's just such a thirsty bitch. Anyway, she had a thing, Boris Epstein tea and landing team news. Oh, I'm going to have to listen to that space. I'll link it in the chat, but it's 2 hours, and so we won't listen to it, but I would really like to do that. Okay, so we did that. We did that. This is something we didn't do. What's the latest? Does anybody understand the latest on the HR 9495? I want to let me look and see. Sorry. Let me look and see where that bill is at, because it kind of freaked. Yeah. HR 9495. 9495. Oh man, that's not right. You don't know how to type, girl. You don't know how to type, girl. What's going on with this? House passes bill. All right. So wait, was this 5 days ago? I thought there was some more recent shit on this. Oh, okay. Oh, so the Senate will take that up next week. Anyway, yes, it did. It passed the House. So we're gonna be watching HR 9495, which is the ability to cut off an NGO's funding if you determine that they're supporting what you deem as the government to be a terrorist supporting organization. So all the definitions are too fuzzy, and it basically is going to give the government the chance to shut down nonprofits. So without due process. That we read about it last week. So we will be watching that because it'll probably come to the Senate after the break. Anyway. So there's that. And let me also wait. Don't leave me. Don't leave me. Don't leave me. We got other stuff to do. Yeah, how about you? Oh, you know what I'll do? Let me play I want to play the song again. Here we go. We're going to do one of the swing songs. Here we go.
Lolo's Lounge, Lolo's Lounge, the best damn friends in all damn town. Rockin' from a lounge, shutting the fascists down, fighting the facts so fast we make the 5 times last down.
Okay. Anyway, I'll play that again, but after. Okay, let's see. That we watched. Let me go to... Oh, I kind of want to watch some of this. Let me just check one other playlist. But I kind of want to... Oh, I know. I need to play this. This is short. But it's Schadenfreude. Okay, so just bear with me because we're going to do a little bit of Schadenfreude here. But I got to find the spot because it's like a stupid 3 hours of nothing, and then it's like 5 minutes of something. Okay, so there it is. Oops. Okay, here we go. All right, hold on. This is just Schadenfreude. That's what we're doing right now. Oh, by the way, thank you for the sticker. You know who you are. That was very much appreciated. Okay, here we go.
Well, it turned out exactly as I expected. He ruled against us on everything. Also, the trial he set down for the period of time during President Trump's inauguration, he really doesn't need to have it because he's going to rule against me. If you were sitting in that courtroom and couldn't figure it out, you're stupid. I've been practicing law for 56 years. This judge had actually written what he decided because he was reading from it. This has been true throughout the case.
Why are those
We've
two
had not
guys
one
bald?
ruling in
Like,
our favor.
just like
His
what?
background is serious left-wing Democrat. Yes, he was appointed by Trump, but he was appointed by Trump because of the two Democratic senators and because in New York we appoint Democrats because of the deal that was made a long time ago between Javits and D'Amato. So this is about as left-wing as you get. I knew his father. His father was a great litigator, but left of left of left. This is punishment. It's punishment for being the one who revealed, first, Joe Biden's 30-year criminality. I'm the one who revealed it, nobody else. He hated me since then. He's been trying to torture me, stop me, take everything away from me since then, anyone associated with me. Then, of course, the real indignity was, I'm the one who produced the laptop
I'm already drunk.
for the New York Post. I love the New York Post, but they have forgotten that it wasn't their great editorial work or journalistic
I
work
love
that
this
found
confession.
the hard drive that was hidden. I gave it to them. And for a week, had to talk them into doing it. There'd be no hard drive today if it wasn't for me. You wouldn't know that Joe Biden took about 50 million during his career, which is all on the hard drive, except most of you in the press don't cover it. They're right on the hard drive. You can just see it. Also, you keep out the issue, did Joe Biden get any money? You keep out the statement written by Hunter Biden, I gave 30% of everything I made in 30 years to my father. That's known as the classical bag man. That's an admission. In a court of law,
Yeah,
that's more
you just
powerful
made
than a
an
confession.
admission.
Nobody else in America would not be prosecuted with a statement like that. Half the cases I convicted people, and I tried the most significant cases in this courthouse in the 20th century, and prosecuted them and convicted them. And they were like real criminals, organized crime, terrorists,
A classical
Wall Street,
bag man.
massive crooks, recovered $2 billion
Yeah, it
from the
has my
federal government
viola
from
in
Milton
it.
and Boesky. I prosecuted Nazis. What do they prosecute now? Republicans. Or people like
Nazis.
Adams, who criticize Biden, and then they go after him for upgrading his tickets. This case against me is totally phony case in front of a judge even worse than him. The judge I'm going to have the motion for contempt in has the heaviest record for sentencing J6 people. Nobody sentenced them to jail for longer. When she was the chief judge, she told the other judges they weren't given heavy enough sentences. Did I have a fair trial? I didn't have a trial.
That's right, Lee. Wait till the
Half
Noel
time she was
Dumpy
threatening to
case
throw me in
comes
jail.
to
Like he is vaguely
fruition.
doing. Meanwhile, he said something that's totally untrue. I'm not worried about Mr. Giuliani having money. The reality is, I have no cash. It's all tied up. So right now, if I wanted to call a taxi cab, I can't do it. I don't have a credit card. I don't have a checking account. I have no place I can go take cash out except a little bit that I saved, and it's getting down to almost nothing. I have a business. I can do business expenses, but I'm very careful about that because
Sell
God
Ted.
forbid I should make a mistake
Just sell
between
Ted.
a personal and a business
Someone will
expense.
buy him.
Unlike Hunter Biden, I go to jail right
Sell
away.
him. Get rid of that with the camel
This
hair
is
coat.
a pure application of the persecution of Trump, me, Bannon, Navarro, Professor Eastman, on and on and on. 100 people. Second, my lawyer received a notification from someone named Peter Gottlieb. Now, who's Peter Gottlieb? He's a big partner at this law firm. Michael Gottlieb, whatever the hell his name is. Michael Gottlieb was counsel to the company in Ukraine whose criminality I uncovered, Burisma, an organized crime, major criminal
I just want him to lose it all.
company listed by the State Department as one of the 10 worst, affiliated with Russia and Putin. The Bidens were paid on tape $10 million from that company. Gottlieb, who brought the case against me for these women, represented them. And he was Hunter Biden's law partner. Now, what are the odds that Hunter Biden's law partner, who took money from the most crooked company that I uncovered the criminality of, is going to take a defamation case from two women who have nothing because he loves them? Or is he going to take it because he wants to hurt me and stop me? And then he treats it like it's a case for AT&T. He must have done $10 million worth of legal work on this case. He's doing it, and there are 30 cases like this throughout the country. He's doing this for Joe Biden. What?
Every news of
Doesn't affect my cases. It affects my spirit. It affects the love for my country. It says to me, my worst nightmare is over. That we
Okay,
have
Dog's
4
gonna
more
need me
years
soon,
heading
but
toward
I'm gonna put
communism
on something else
and the
after
kind
this.
of oppression that I've lived under for 4 years. The Biden administration
Oh, I didn't know there were new charges.
has deliberately persecuted me for 4 years, in particular because I caught him. He is a 30-year criminal. He's going to walk out of the White House with everybody bowing to him. He's probably the worst criminal to sit in the White House. And his family is without any doubt the most perverted family. Just take a look at the pictures on the hard drive. It also contains child pornography.
Look at the
and they
guys
hate it when I
around
point
him.
that out.
Uber's here, man. Uber's here. Uber's here.
Uber's here. Uber's here.
If you can identify who you're from and then
I
answer
do not
questions.
regret it for a minute. I regret the persecution that I've been put to and the fact that somehow Biden's lawyer, Biden's law partner, Hunter Biden law partner, becomes their lawyer and expends $10 million of legal effort for them. Tell me that's not a political fix. If you don't think that's a political fix, you sure as hell don't belong in New York.
Gotta go.
Thank you.
Gotta go.
Thank you, guys.
Gotta go.
Let me
Gotta
get
go.
Transition.
Why are you guys?
Luke Cohen with Reuters. What sort of work are you doing for the Trump transition? Thank you, guys. Watch your step, everybody.
All right. I'm going to put on, I won't play the entire thing, I don't think, although, because I don't want to just, I want to comment on their stuff. But anyway, yeah, so that's just a little schadenfreude that happened yesterday, I think. I think that's when it happened. Pretty sure. And this, let me move this. And then I'm just going to quickly take the puppy out. And then I will be back and we will talk about this. But this is Lawfare Daily, which is a wonderful podcast. Highly recommend. And this one is talking about the confirmation process, which I think is interesting to understand if there's a recess appointments and other things. I hope they talk about that, but I'm not sure. Where's the backup? I don't know. What a weirdo. Yeah, they're all comic book characters and colors. That's so true, Badge. Has Hunter filed a defamation case against Rudy? Joe should too, if he can, after January. I don't know if... I think Hunter has cases against other people, but I don't know... I thought he did. No, maybe it was someone else. I have to go back to my notes. So here we go. Let's listen in on Lawfare Daily. And
Alert
see
in
what's
2024 seem to bring new questions. But fear not, because Lawfare has answers. It's time for our annual Ask Us Anything podcast, an opportunity for you to ask Lawfare this year's most burning questions. You can submit your question by leaving a voicemail at 202-743-5831, or by sending a recording of yourself asking your question to askusanythinglawfare@gmail.com.
So there's any number of questions that will not get asked once Trump comes into power, and certainly that Republicans in the Senate have demonstrated they have no interest in exploring. But Democratic senators need to remember they have power until January 3rd, and they need to use it.
It's the Lawfare Podcast. I'm Molly Reynolds, Senior Fellow at Brookings and Senior Editor at Lawfare, with Mike Stern, former Senior Counsel to the U.S. House of Representatives, and Donald Sherman, Executive Director and Chief Counsel at Crew.
So it already has in Article 1 a tie-breaking provision, which says if one house wants to adjourn and the other one doesn't, you don't adjourn. You need the consent of both. And if what they meant was, well, you need the consent of the other one or the president, you think they would have said that there.
Today, we're talking about the Senate confirmation process, recess appointments, and what's ahead for oversight in the 119th Congress.
All right, so there are lots of issues to talk about with the coming Congress, both in terms of the Senate's role in the advice and consent process, and then generally the role of Congress in overseeing the executive branch. So I want to start with kind of where we are in time right now, and thinking about the period between now and the end of the calendar year, which is still the 118th Congress, still working, and will feature the Democrats still have a majority in the Senate until the end of the Congress, before the new Congress is sworn in on January 3rd. So Donald, I want to start with you. What, if anything, just could Senate Democrats be doing now to be kind of getting information about using the power that they still have as the majority party in advance of the new Congress, particularly in the context of some of the more controversial nominees that have been announced by President-elect Trump?
I think the Senate has often had a problem harnessing its own power. I think Leader McConnell has been an outlier and a powerful outlier, and has bucked Senate norms and traditions to exert power, most notably when he blocked President Obama from even having a hearing for Merrick Garland, despite close to a year-long vacancy on the Supreme Court. And so I think it's important to remember that as important context. But, the things that the Senate can do and needs to do aren't magical, right? Like, they are the things that presumably the American public sent them to Congress to do. And so, they are working hard to confirm judges, despite Senator Schumer's deal on the Circuit Court of Appeals judges, which I will set aside for the moment. But, they could also move the IG nominations, the Inspector General nominations that President Biden has nominated through the process. There are a couple of notable ones that still haven't been confirmed, including the Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration, TIGTA, which is incredibly important because it oversees the Internal Revenue Service, which, if you listen to anything that Trump has said, and look at what both the House and Senate are doing now, is they are trying to give the executive branch, and specifically the president, more authority to punish nonprofit organizations through the Internal Revenue Service. So having a confirmed Inspector General overseeing the IRS is important, including, in addition, there's a vacancy for the Inspector General that oversees the intelligence agencies. And given that President-elect Trump has nominated someone who's had a number of dubious issues related to security and security clearance, I think, confirming an NSA IG is going to be important as well. But I think the most important thing that the senators could be doing right now is conducting oversight over some of these nominees. For example, Mr. Hegseth, who's been nominated to lead the Department of Defense, despite having scant qualifications for the role as compared to any prior person to sit in that chair, has a number of really damning scandals, including allegations of sexual misconduct, like Mr. Gates before him, who recently withdrew. Why isn't the Senate calling a hearing to hear from either his accusers or from the lawyers for his accusers and witnesses? There's no reason why they can't hold that kind of hearing. There's no, certainly it would be of great public import. And I have every bit of confidence that Republicans in the Senate will have no interest in calling those witnesses before the committee. And so that's one way among many that the Senate could be using its authority. There's a number of highly, highly questionable nominees, whether it's Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for HHS, Dr. Oz. Not only do they have conflicts of interest, but again, they have pretty glaring public scandals that should be investigated before they are confirmed and will not be by Republicans. But, I think another opportunity for oversight is over the Department of Government Efficiency, which is, it's unclear what it's going to do. It's unclear where it's getting its money from, though they are interviewing people for jobs.
It's going to wreak havoc. It's going to wreak havoc. That's what it's going to do. Thank you.
Jobs, apparently, in this quasi-government but not government committee, partnering with subcommittees in the Senate and the House in order to do their work. Well, if I were on the Senate Rules Committee, I would want to know who's paying for this, committee to do its work. What's the interaction between the Senate committee and whatever this private entity is? Is it going to be a federal advisory committee, in which case it would have to comply with the FACA? Are the staffers that Musk and Ramaswamy hiring government employees where they're subject to conflict of interest laws? Are they being paid from the federal purse, or are they essentially lobbyists that then have to do, comply with lobbying disclosure? So there's any number of questions that will not get asked once Trump comes into power. And certainly that Republicans in the Senate have demonstrated they have no interest in exploring. But Democratic senators need to remember they have power until January 3rd, and they need to use it.
That's it. That's the message. The call to action is whatever accountability and safeguards can be put in place between now and January 20th. Our representatives in Congress should be working tirelessly to make sure that there are some level of safeguards, kind of like sabotage be damned. Don't worry about the sabotage, just fucking worry about the people. And do whatever it takes. And if you have done your best, then that is all I can ask of you. But do something and be vocal about what you're going to do. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he really is like the Penguin on Batman, isn't he, Teresa? Anyway.
If Mitch McConnell was in this situation, he would be using his authority until the wheels fell off. And there's no reason why, these senators on the Democratic side should do anything different.
That's a great sort of overview of what's kind of on the table between now and January 3rd. Let's talk about after January 3rd. Let's talk about what happens once Republicans take the majority. Thinking then mainly about kind of the hearing process, the confirmation process, the process of committees engaging in vetting or not. What does that look like? And particularly, I'm curious to hear your thoughts about what power, if any, Congress has, both parties, to push back against reported plans by the Trump administration or sort of the Trump administration transition to eschew FBI background checks in, at least for some nominees, in the confirmation process. What are the tools available during the confirmation process on the part of the Senate in this scenario?
Well, if they're foregoing the FBI background check, first of all, when I worked in the Senate and did nominations for Homeland Security, we didn't have a hearing until Senator McCaskill got her FBI briefing, right? That was the last thing that was done before there was a hearing. There is no reason why these hearings should be scheduled without an FBI briefing.
Okay, I'm going to break to read you this story because it just came up for me on CNN. So hold on. I'm sure it's already been talked about in other circles, but let's go ahead and get up to speed. Elon Musk publicized the names of government employees he wants to cut. It's terrifying federal workers. This is from this morning actually, it was much earlier this morning. Forgive me. So many of you may have seen it, but I just wanted to get into it because it's important. When President-elect Rump and Elon Musk, Elonia, and Vivek Ramaswamy would recommend major cuts to the federal government in his administration, many public employees knew that their jobs could be on the line. Now they have a new fear, becoming the personal targets of the world's richest man and his legions of followers. No, I don't. Last week, in the midst of the flurry of his daily missives, Musk reposted 2 X posts that revealed the names and titles of people holding 4 relatively obscure climate-related government positions. Each post has been viewed tens of millions of times, and the individuals named have been subjected to a barrage of negative attention. At least one of the 4 women named has deleted her social media accounts. Although the information he posted on those government positions is available through public online databases, oh my God! Sorry. These posts target otherwise unknown government employees in roles that do not deal directly with the public. Several current federal employees told CNN they're afraid their lives will be forever changed, including physically threatened, as Musk makes behind-the-scenes bureaucrats into personal targets. Others told CNN that the threat of being in Musk's crosshairs might even drive them from their jobs entirely, achieving Musk's smaller government goals without so much as a proper review. These tactics are aimed at sowing terror and fear in federal employees, said Everett Kelly, the president of the American Federation of Government Employees, which represents more than 800,000 of the 2.3 million civilian federal employees. It's intended to make them fearful that they will become afraid to speak up. This isn't new behavior for Musk, who has often singled out individuals who he claims have made mistakes or stand in his way. One former federal employee previously targeted by Musk said she experienced something very similar. It's his way of intimidating people to either quit or send a signal to all the other agencies that you're next, said Mary Missy Cummings, an engineering and computer science professor at George Mason University, who drew Musk's ire because of her criticisms of Tesla when she was at the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. Last week, Musk reposted an account with the handle Fantasil under the name Data Hazard, which describes itself as an unincorporated think tank, focus, government efficiency, civil rights, victim advocacy. One of the posts reads, "I don't think U.S. taxpayers should pay for the employment of a director of climate diversification, she, her, at the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation, with a partial screen grab of an employee and her location." Musk, who called himself super pro-climate in an X post last year, reposted and commented, "So many fake jobs." The post has received more than 33 million views and a storm of, God damn it, negative comments. Some called the role a fraud job, and others demanded Musk's Department of Government Efficiency cut jobs like it. One user commented, "Gravy train is over." It appears the woman Musk targeted has since gone dark on social media, shutting down her accounts. The agency, the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation, says it supports investment in climate mitigation, resilience, and adaptation in low-income countries experiencing the most devastating effects of climate change. A DFC official said the agency does not comment on individual personnel positions or matters. Musk also called out the Department of Energy's chief climate officer in its loan programs office. The office funds fledgling energy technologies in need of early investment and awarded $465 million to Tesla Motors in 2010, helping to position Musk's electrical vehicle company as an EV industry leader. The chief climate officer works across agencies to reduce barriers and enable clean energy development, according to her online bio. Another woman who serves as a senior advisor on an environmental justice and climate change at the Department of Health and Human Services was another Musk target. HHS focuses on protecting the public health from pollution and other environmental hazards, especially in low-income communities and communities of color that are experiencing a higher share of exposures and impacts. The office first launched at Health and Human Services under the Biden administration in 2022. A senior advisor to climate at the Department of Housing and Urban Development was also singled out. The original X post said the woman should not be paid $181,648 by the U.S. taxpayer to be the climate advisor at HUD. Musk reposted with the comment, "But maybe her advice is amazing," followed by 2 laughing emojis. CNN reached out to all 4 federal employees who either declined comment or were unable to be reached. CNN also reached out to HHS, DOE, and HUD for comment. X did not respond to an email seeking comment. The AFGE Public Union has pointed out that as a federal contractor, Musk himself has benefited from government programs, with $750 billion per year spent on federal contractors compared to about $200 billion for the civilian federal workforce. "We are a comparative steal, and we want to help clean it up too," Kelly said. Musk has done all this kind of thing before, and it's led to real danger for the people named. Missy Cummings angered Musk when she was appointed as a senior advisor at the NHTSA because her research and public comments were critical of Tesla's driver assist programs, and she had called for regulating the systems. Musk targeted Cummings on what was then called Twitter, and his legions of fans followed. In an interview, Cummings said she received a torrent of attacks, including death threats, and had to temporarily relocate before she eventually moved. Cummings said she already knows of federal employees who have dedicated their lives to civil service, already quitting their jobs in anticipation of what's to come. He intended for people just like this, to be intimidated and just go ahead and quit so he didn't have to fire them. So his plan, to some extent, is working, she said. CNN reached out to multiple experts and academics who specialize in cyber harassment, doxing, and online abuse, but several declined to comment on the record for fear of themselves becoming Musk's targets. "What has happened has an incredible and horrific chilling effect," one of them said. Another said they're not surprised with Musk's excuse me, repost, adding that they are an example of a classic pattern of cyber harassment. Excuse me. Vivek did not directly respond to questions about singling out individual federal employees, but told CNN, "Most federal employees, like most human beings, are fundamentally good people and deserve to be treated with respect. But the real problem is with the bureaucracy. Our opponent is not any particular individual. Our opponent is the bureaucracy. It's the bureaucracy." In a follow-up post, the Fentasil account, which itself is anonymous, wrote, "It goes without saying that you should not harass someone solely because they hold a senior government plum job that should probably not exist," the account posted. "But senior government officials are not mere rank-and-file employees. We deserve to know who is running our government and what they do." Cummings, who was also one of the first female fighter pilots in the U.S. Navy, said she felt an obligation to speak out. "Somebody has got to speak out," she said. "I'm not just going to let him win on this point." That's an excellent article. This is the kind of thing that it would be great for our representatives in Congress to go after between now and January 3rd, which is demanding investigations or holding investigations, even if they do those off-site ones. What the fuck? Why are they not doing more of that? Like, can't the minority actually hold like off-site, like town halls and shit on these issues? Is that a thing? Are they prohibited from doing that? Right? Like, this isn't real, right? Like, we're not just like, isn't there something we can demand from accountability or transparency standpoint? Like naming the 600, like releasing the Jack Smith report when it's ready and not after January 3rd, please. Gal, "I found a list that they'll target for military generals and leaders, trying to figure out what to do with it. Probably going to try and get in touch with the Senate Armed Services Committee." Yeah. Jesus Christ. The thing is this is the point is so well made in this. The point is the fear. The point is to drive people out using fear. And look at how well it works. It works so well. Like, Congress people routinely head for the hills when they're, going to be primaried or something, Like, if you're the right person, I don't think being primaried should be of concern. Seems to me you should be able to be comfortable that you're in your primary because you're doing the right thing. And if you're not doing the right thing, well, that's another question. But if you're doing the right thing, why is this such a fucking problem? I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. All right. Well, anyways. Oh, I want to watch more of this. I'm so sorry. God, I'm just not thinking. I do want to watch more of this confirmation process piece that we were reviewing. Hold on. Oops. Oh, wait. Come back. There you go.
This is not just standard protocol. It is absolutely necessary to ensure that nominees are loyal to the United States as opposed to loyal to a foreign agent or, one particular person. It is necessary to ensure that they have not committed or been credibly accused of any crimes. I mean, there are any number of reasons why, issuing the FBI background check is a dereliction of duty. And every Democratic senator, I don't even know why Democratic senators are talking about substance, right? They should be talking about, we're not hearing any of these nominees until we have the FBI background check. I'm not familiar with any deviation from this process. Maybe there has been a.
Didn't I hear that they are going to do the background checks? Didn't he sign the document yesterday? Am I wrong about that? I can look it up, but I think he signed the FBI check, but now we have to wait. I'm very curious to see what happens. Very curious.
At some point, but not in my experience. And there's any number of reasons why it would be highly problematic. First of all, we don't know who's paying these people to do the background checks, right? Like, we don't know anything about them. One of the reasons why the process goes through the FBI is because the FBI works for the government. They don't work for one president or another, which is another thing that will likely change if President-elect Trump gets his way. But there's no indication that these folks doing background checks is independent. And, again, an example of what the Senate can do with its power right now is they can ask questions about who's doing this vetting, what kinds of questions they're asking.
Okay, well, never mind. Hold on. This is from The Guardian from yesterday. Bear with me as I pull this up on the screen. The screen. The scream. I'll call it the scream for now. Yep, I know. There's a picture of him on our screen. I get it. I could put Blobby over him. Don't worry. But I mean, I don't have to because we're gonna scroll past him. Don't worry about that. Okay. This is from yesterday. Trump officials to receive immediate clearances and easier FBI vetting. This was yesterday at 5 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday, November 26th. Hugo Lowell. Donald Trump. I don't even understand. It's like they're all running for the hills and leaving us, like they're leaving us in the car with the dinosaurs outside. They left us in the car. Donald Trump's transition team is planning for all political appointees to receive sweeping security clearances on the first day. Oh, I don't want to cry anymore. And only face FBI background checks after the incoming administration takes over the bureau and its own officials are installed in key positions, according to people familiar with the matter. The move appears to mean that Trump's team will continue to skirt FBI vetting and may not receive classified briefings until Trump is sworn in on January 20th and unilaterally grant sweeping security clearances across the administration. All right, so now I'm interested in hearing against that. I just want to hear that part again that he says, hold on, about the hearing confirmation. All right, so let's go back a little bit. Here we go.
Which is, it's unclear what it's going to do. It's unclear
This is
where
Doge
it's getting
he's
its
talking
money
about.
from, though they are interviewing people for jobs, apparently, in this quasi-government but not government committee, partnering with subcommittees in the Senate and the House in order to do their work. Well, if I were on the Senate Rules Committee, I would want to know who's paying for this, committee to do its work. What's the interaction between the Senate committee and whatever this private entity is? Is it going to be a federal advisory committee, in which case it would have to comply with the FACA? Are the staffers that Musk and Ramaswamy hiring government employees where they're subject to conflict of interest laws? Are they being paid from the federal purse, or are they essentially lobbyists that then have to do comply with lobbying disclosure? So there's any number of questions that will not get asked once Trump comes into power. And certainly that Republicans in the Senate have demonstrated they have no interest in exploring. But Democratic senators need to remember they have power until January 3rd, and they need to use it. If Mitch McConnell was in this situation, he would be using his authority until the wheels fell off. And there's no reason why, these senators on the Democratic side should do anything different.
That's a great sort of overview of what's kind of on the table between now and January 3rd. Let's talk about after January 3rd. Let's talk about what happens once Republicans take the majority. Thinking then mainly about kind of the hearing process, the confirmation process, the process of committees engaging in vetting or not. What does that look like? And particularly, I'm curious to hear your thoughts about what power, if any, Congress has, both parties, to push back against reported plans by the Trump administration or sort of the Trump administration transition to eschew FBI background checks in, at least for some nominees, in the confirmation process. What are the tools available during the confirmation process on the part of the Senate in this scenario?
Well, if they're foregoing the FBI background check, first of all, when I worked in the Senate and did nominations for Homeland Security, we didn't have a hearing until Senator McCaskill got her FBI briefing, right? That was the last thing that was done before there was a hearing. There is no reason why these hearings should be scheduled without an FBI briefing. This is not just standard protocol. It is absolutely necessary to ensure that nominees are loyal to the United States as opposed to loyal to a foreign agent or, one particular person. It is necessary to ensure that they have not committed or been credibly accused of any crimes. There are any number of reasons why, eschewing the FBI background check is a dereliction of duty. And every Democratic senator, I don't even know why Democratic senators are talking about substance, right? They should be talking about, we're not hearing any of these nominees until we have the FBI background check. I'm not familiar with any deviation from this process. Maybe there has been, at some point, but not in my experience. And there's any number of reasons why.
But who controls that? I'm confused. Wait, Donald Trump's okay. The move appears to mean that Trump's team will continue. Okay. The transition team is planning for all political appointees to receive sweeping security clearances on the first day and only face FBI background checks after they take over the bureau. So Trump's team will continue to skirt FBI vetting and may not receive classified briefings until January 20th. All right.
It would be highly problematic. First of all, we don't know who's paying these people to do the background checks, right? We don't know anything about them. One of the reasons why the process goes to the FBI is because the FBI works for the government. They don't work for one president or another, which is another thing that will likely change.
So that's what changed between yesterday when this was recorded and today.
There's no indication that these folks doing background checks is independent. And, again, an example of what the Senate can do with its power right now is they can ask questions about who's doing this vetting, what kinds of questions they're asking. Does that process, make sense? They could have hearings with people that did background checks in prior administrations to explain why it's so important, what kinds of things the background check process reveals, so that the American public understands there is a reason why Trump is not going through the FBI process. Here is why it's bad for everyday Americans. Here's why, having a cabinet secretary who has some glaring conflict or glaring criminal issue in their background getting confirmed, or even getting all the way farther through the confirmation process, is bad for the process and bad for the public. But again, Democrats need to lean into their power. And I think Republicans and Democrats need to stand up for the rule of law and some kind of regular order here.
Mike, any thoughts from you on either what could happen between now and the end of this Congress, or in the sort of vetting and confirmation process early in the next Congress?
So I would say, first of all, that one important time period is the time period between now and January 20th, because that's the time when the Biden administration remains in place. So to the extent that Senate Democrats or Republicans, but presumably mostly Democrats, want information from the administration, obviously now is a good time to do that, right? And that's true even in January after they become the minority. If they've made requests to the administration for information they need, that's obviously time critical. There's a lot of other things that they could be doing. Donald mentioned a number of them. Probably some of them are maybe more politically realistic than others. I personally would be interested, if I were the chair of the Judiciary Committee, for example, be interested in asking the president's Justice Department nominees, the AG, but others as well, their opinion on the January 6th election theories that were floated by the president's lawyers last time around. What they think about the vice president's authority to set aside electoral slates, for example. That's something they could send letters to do to the various nominees and ask them to respond before January 6th.
Can do that?
Because that could be important information during the electoral count of next year.
Did he say
a lot of things, I guess, that could be?
Did he say that the Biden administration could do that, or would the FBI be doing that on behalf of? I missed that part because I'm a little high.
Done. I tend to agree. The Senate is not historically been very active in doing things like issuing subpoenas and enforcing them. So there's a limit probably on what you can reasonably expect them to do with respect to forcing people to come and testify. But there's got a lot of issues to raise with these potential nominees, and there's certainly things they can start on now, while they're still controlling the committees, but even, in January.
Great, thanks. We started by talking about kind of the first step in the process of vetting and moving nominations, which is sort of the investigation, hearings in the Senate. I would expect probably that some hearings for the highest profile nominees may well occur after January 3rd and before January 20th, when President Trump is sworn in. That's quite common, even though the nominations themselves don't actually get submitted formally until the new president is in place. But that's sort of assuming we're living in a mostly regular advice and consent world. Again, whether the Senate chooses to exercise all of its institutional power in terms of trying to get information about nominees, it's a little bit of a separate question. But again, assuming hearings, votes on the floor. President-elect Trump has been floating a possible scenario whereby we don't actually get confirmation votes on some of these nominees. He's been floating the idea of using a very aggressive version of the recess appointment power to get some of these folks in place. So, Mike, can you walk us through a little bit of sort of what the recess appointment gambit looks like? Why are we talking about this? What does it actually rely on for it to be able to happen? That sort of thing.
Sure. So since the Noel Canning Supreme Court decision in 2014, the Senate and the House actually have both been holding pro forma sessions, even when they're really not conducting active legislative business. They hold pro forma sessions every three days in order to ensure that there's no recess within the definition that the Supreme Court laid out in Noel Canning, so that the president is unable to use this power to make recess appointments. The theory seems to be that if the Senate is unwilling to agree to a recess, which, from what we understand, even though the Republicans will be taking control in January, does not sound like a majority of Senate or enough Senate Republicans are willing to go along with that in order to create a recess, that the president would use a provision, constitutional provision, which has never before been used, to have the House ask for recess. And then if the Senate disagrees with that, the president would use a provision of Article 2, which says, in cases of disagreement between the House and the Senate with respect to the time of adjournment, he may adjourn them to such time as he shall think proper. And the theory is that if the president uses this authority, that will create a recess within the meaning of the Recess Appointments Clause, and the president can then go ahead and make recess appointments that would be valid even without advice and consent, and would last until through the end of the next session of the Senate. That is the theory. I think there's a number of serious problems with it. I think beginning with the fact that the margin in the House is so narrow that I seriously doubt even the House is going to go along with this. But if hypothetically the House were to pass an adjournment resolution, I think there's a lot of questions about whether or not there's two basic questions. One, does this provision, which has never before been used, actually allow the president to adjourn both the House and the Senate under these circumstances? I think there's serious questions about that. And then even if he can, is that a recess within the meaning of the Recess Appointments Clause as it's been interpreted by the Supreme Court in Noel Canning? I think there's also some serious issues about that.
I agree with you that it's possible that the House itself is a constraint on this. We've mostly been talking about the Senate so far, but there are a couple of House Republicans who have indicated that they are not in love with this possible plan. They're not House Republicans who have necessarily have a strong history of pushing back against either Speaker Johnson or President-elect Trump, but the quotes are out there, so we will see what happens. But I am curious to just hear you talk a little bit more about those two issues that you just raised, about the potential that if we were to find ourselves in what I've taken to calling the refusal scenario, where the Senate refuses to consent to a recess and full President Trump chooses to try and send them home, what are the legal questions in terms of like what constitutes disagreement and whether that meets the definition of a recess under Noel Canning?
Okay. For the few listeners who are really into this, this is very exciting. So as I mentioned, the language that we're talking about, it says, in case of disagreement between them, the House and the Senate, with respect to the time of adjournment, he may adjourn them to such time as he shall think proper. Now, there's not only no case law on this, there's really no precedent whatsoever, and very little, almost no even scholarly speculation about it. It's such a dormant clause. However, looking at it just on the face, one has to think, what does the time of adjournment mean? As someone who actually has read this before, this came up and thought about it, at least in passing, I always assumed that the time of adjournment referred to the time that they would start the adjournment, right? The time that they would actually decide to adjourn. But there's a problem with that. It doesn't make a lot of sense because as the clause is written, there's a disagreement as to the time of adjournment. And then it says the president can adjourn them to such time as he thinks proper, which means the time that the adjournment would end, right? When they would come back. That's really an odd way of formulating the provision. If their disagreement as to the time of adjournment, as the disagreement as to when they adjourn, why wouldn't he break the
I just linked an overview of the Noel Canning case that they're referring to about recess appointments. I just linked that in the chat. If the DOJ would release the 600, we could get an insight into some of the appointments by Trump via FBI. We sure could. I just feel like there's so much information that we need in order to make good decisions. Hi, SB. How you doing? Anyway, so that is a link to what they're talking about, the Noel Canning case, National Labor Relations Board versus Noel Canning. So there it is. I haven't read it, so I might, but we'll probably go ahead and just watch the rest of, or listen to the rest of this, and then I'll finish out some stuff. But we're here for a while. We still have about 25 minutes. We have about a half an hour, so we've got some time yet to come. All right. Good to see you, SB.
The tie as to that, as opposed to breaking the tie as to something they may not even disagree about, right? So that creates the possibility that the time of adjournment actually means the time that the adjournment will last, right? The length of the adjournment really is what they mean. And when they say the time to which adjourn them to the
maybe
time
another hour,
which he thinks proper, they mean he can decide on how long the adjournment should last, because they disagree about that, right? The assumption being that they actually both agree that they should adjourn. It's just that they disagree as to when they should come back. And that would actually make sense because there's a provision in Article 1 which already talks about what happens if one house wants to adjourn and the other one doesn't. It says neither house shall adjourn for more than 3 days, which is how we got this Noel Canning pro forma session, right, without the consent of the other. So it already has in Article 1 a tie-breaking provision, which says if one house wants to adjourn and the other one doesn't, you don't adjourn. You need the consent of both. And if what they meant was, well, you need the consent of the other one or the president, you think they would have said that there. So if that's true, then if one house wants to adjourn, if the House wants to adjourn, the Senate doesn't want to adjourn, there is no disagreement as to the time of adjournment, and there's no cause for this provision to be used. Now, some other possibilities that various other people have raised about how this provision could be interpreted that also might not allow the use of it in this case. For example, some have pointed out that the way the provision actually immediately follows the president's use of the extraordinary session power. So it could be referring to only adjournment after the president calls an extraordinary session, which would not be applicable here. I personally don't think that's probably right, but again, since there's no authority, there's a lot of room for creativity. In any event, that's my reason for thinking that it may not apply in the first place. Let's assume, though, that it does apply, right? So that gets on to the next issue. Let's say the House does ask for a recess, the Senate doesn't act. The president says, okay, there's a disagreement, so I'm going to adjourn you for 10 days or 20 days or whatever it is. And then he tries to make recess appointments. In that case, we get to the issue that was discussed, or the language of Noel Canning, which actually involved a 5-4 split, even though the court unanimously agreed that the recess appointments that President Obama made were unconstitutional. They disagreed 5-4 as to why. The majority, decision written by Justice Breyer, took kind of a functional approach to the issue of what was a recess. And basically he said, as long as there is a break, an adjournment of a sufficiently long time that the Senate can't reasonably act, that constitutes a recess, and therefore the president can make recess appointments even if they're within a session. And
that high?
In reaching
I
that
remember that, but
conclusion, he relied heavily on the fact that presidents had historically made these kinds of appointments in relatively short time frames, basically recesses or adjournments of 10 days or more. And he concluded, along with the majority of the court, that as long as the break was 10 days or more, that was a recess, and recess appointments can be made. However, because they had only actually been 3-day breaks in the case of President Obama's appointment. That was too short, therefore they were invalid. However, 4 justices, led by Justice Scalia, said, no, that's not right as to how you determine when recess appointments are to be made. They said you could only have recess appointments when the recess is actually between sessions. So basically the end of when the Congress adjourns sine die at the end of a session, could you make recess appointments? And they also said that the vacancy that the recess appointment is made for has to actually happen during the recess, which is obviously something that rarely happens, which really would eliminate recess appointments in most cases. In any event, so we have these 2 views. If you take the concurring.
So wait, is he saying that Scalia got it wrong, that it's not between sessions, so that January 3rd, well, what would it be? I don't understand that. Oh, I guess it would just be no Congress is seated until after the recess appointments are made, right? Is that that's the scenario? He wouldn't recess them early. Or maybe, I don't know. That's interesting. Yeah, how will the finer details about how honorable people have implemented the laws traditionally, constraining the executive, actually constrain a rampant dope? Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. Oh, bye, Carla. Have a wonderful Friendsgiving. Oh, be safe, travel safe, and have so much fun. I hope you have a great day. I'm going to be live on Thanksgiving. I'm actually going to probably be making something on Thanksgiving in addition to a wake and bake. So we'll have a twofer on Thanksgiving in case you're bored. But if you have like obviously all of you probably have like shit to do. But if you don't, then come and hang out with me. When I hear these people speculate on why a clause on recess appointments will stymie Trump, I recall people saying that the emoluments clause will stymie Trump. Didn't happen. Exactly. Melania was earning emoluments the whole time. Emoluments. If that shit sold, I don't know. Yes, see you. Bye. That's right. It's tomorrow. I keep forgetting. Fuck, man. I'm so out of it. Oh, I'm going to make peanut butter cookies. That's what I'm going to make. I'm going to make my famous peanut butter cookies that melt in your mouth. But yeah, well, I'm not done with you yet, though, this morning, so don't go anywhere. All right, here we go. I want to hear more of this. This is fascinating.
Opinion, the minority opinion in Noel Canning, clearly this recess appointment would not be valid because this is just an adjournment within a session.
Exactly,
now,
Max.
It's actually an interesting question that we get to is what could the president actually use his power to end a session?
Fuck yeah.
Which would be another novel thing. But if he did that, then the new session would begin, right, when they came back. And so that would make the recess appointments much shorter. So he probably wouldn't want to do that even if he thought he had the power to do it. And for reasons I won't get into, because I know nobody wants to get this much into the weeds, I think actually you cannot use that clause to end a session. Nonetheless, the concurrence from Noel Canning, which still has 3 justices on the Supreme Court, Justice Thomas, Justice Roberts, and Justice Alito, all joined that Scalia opinion, which would say that what Trump was trying to do here would be illegal, right? And then you have the majority opinion, which there are only 2 justices, Sotomayor and Kagan, left, assuming they followed the reasoning of the majority opinion. I think you'd have serious questions about whether this was valid. There's no historical basis for it. And functionally, it doesn't make any sense. Unlike the recess appointments that Justice Breyer approved in Noel Canning, his argument was the purpose of the recess appointment clause is to allow the president to make these appointments when the Senate is out for a long time, right? And it shouldn't really matter whether it's in between sessions or not. Here, the only reason they're out at all would be because the president decided that they should be out so he could make the recess appointments, which is totally contrary to the purpose of the recess appointments. And again, it has no historical precedent. So I think even if you assume that a majority of the current court would follow the majority reasoning of Noel Canning, I think they very well might hold that this was invalid. And certainly if they followed the concurring opinion, Justice Scalia's opinion, which one would assume that new justices like Justice Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, Barrett might be inclined to do, then it would be clearly invalid. So I think for all these reasons, this is a very, very long shot, and President Trump would be well advised not to do it. But luckily, I think he won't get the chance.
Mike, that was an incredibly helpful overview of the legal issues.
Mike, that's
Donald, I want to
incredibly
ask you just why does this matter? Why should we be worried about the possibility, in addition to sort of the legal questions that Mike raises, but as a matter of institutional power, why should we be worried about the possibility that the Senate, could choose to go along with the president, or in a situation where they didn't, the president might still try to do this anyway? What are sort of the institutional considerations?
Well, our system of government is set up, and advice and consent is specifically written into the Constitution so that the Senate could be a check on a president's power. It is among the sort of key
and
distinctions in
it'll be just
government.
An open house, if you will.
We're a democracy,
but we'll do our traditional wake and bake in the morning, and then I'll do something else in the afternoon/evening.
And Trump's desire to sort of plow ahead cannot be divorced from the fact that he has a 53 to 47 majority in the Senate. And so, the idea that he would be interested in pursuing recess appointments despite an significant electoral advantage in the Senate is a clear indication that he won't abide the Senate's power in any way, shape, or form, whether it's advice and consent, which is a function so important that it's written into the Constitution, or oversight, or anything else. And so, it's a reminder that, when the Senate abdicates its responsibility, as it did when it declined to convict Trump after his impeachment in January of 2021, it's bad for democracy. And, we have checks and balances for a reason. And the fact that Trump would consider undercutting this explicit constitutional mandate in such a brazen way is disturbing. Now, I will say, I think it's unlikely that this will happen because the Senate will probably vote for his nominees, and if it was going to happen, why wouldn't it have happened for Gates, right? If there was a nominee so important to Trump, but also so bad that, he couldn't get that person confirmed with a 53 senator majority, there's something else wrong there, right? And so, I think it is just highly unlikely to happen, because I don't know.
That's an interesting thing, although I think
deal of confidence that
I almost think
for Senator
that the Matt Gaetz thing could have been just a bait and switch. To be honest with you, it could have been a bait and switch. You never know the depraved reasons behind what that team is doing. And you're right, Neil. He takes no one's advice and manufactures his own consent. What would happen if everyone marched against the bad justices and demanded they retire? I know Israel basically did that last summer when SCOTUS was made equals. Yeah, Bibi. Could Biden pick some extra ones? This is the thing. With the immunity, I just don't know. I don't know. I'm so worn out supposing what they could do and not being an expert by any stretch of the imagination and clinging to the words of these types of experts. But I agree with a lot of what you all are saying, which is exactly, you're right. He's too traditional and classy / protective of his brethren to take advantage of the immunity. I know. Aren't we past it? I guess we're not, actually, because we just lost an election based on that. Damn it. Anyway.
Senators are going to buck Trump in that way without fear of political retribution. And I don't know that it's going to be important enough to Trump to do it. If not for the attorney general, then, I'm not sure what role is of such significance to him personally that he would sort of go through all of these motions to push it through. To be perfectly honest with you, it seems like a solution in search of a problem that the Senate doesn't have spine to create in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, I think that for me, ultimately, this is a question of like Trump testing the sort of the loyalty of Senate Republicans. And it does have these ultimately interesting, certainly for people who think about these separation of powers questions, kind of legal dimension, but fundamentally it's a political question.
Neil.
It's a question about what Senate Republicans are willing to do or not
do. An official act.
So Donald, you mentioned in your last answer oversight. So I'd love now to talk a little bit about oversight generally, looking ahead to the next Congress. And I'll sort of pose the same question to both of you. And Donald, maybe I'll come to you first. What are you watching in the oversight context? What do you think are going to be sort of the most pertinent issues, biggest flashpoints, that sort of thing, as we look ahead towards congressional oversight in the new year?
I think two things. One is what happens with inspectors general. There's already lots of signs that Trump plans to fire every inspector general in government as part of the transition, which is not normal, does not happen, and should not happen, but it will have the air of normalcy if IGs are lumped in with other political appointees. And
I can't disagree
I
with
think
you, SP.
that's going to be important for oversight. Again, I find it highly curious that a president who's concerned about efficiency in the government has designs on firing the people who are hired specifically to promote efficiency in the government. They're making a big stink about DOD failing an audit. Who audits DOD? What did Trump do to the DOD inspector general during his first term in office? He pushed the acting IG aside, right? So I don't view those concerns with credibility. I think you only remove IGs not because you're concerned about efficiency, but because you are concerned about somebody blowing the whistle on corruption. So I think that's the first thing that I'm looking at in oversight. The second thing that I'm looking at is, does the minority have any steel in its spine? And at least in the Senate, the answer to that question will be obvious based on what they do while they still have power, as we discussed earlier. But, I think, to be honest with you, I am happy that there are some House members that are coming to the Senate because the House does oversight, as messy as it is, does oversight better than the Senate. And hopefully there is some of that House sentiment and attitude that comes to the Senate in terms of the oversight that they conduct. But I'm also curious about what happens when the administration's corruption and incompetence begins, as it undoubtedly will, to undermine the stated political priorities and so-called mandate from the American public, right? When the grifters get in and start making decisions that line their pockets as opposed to focusing on the priorities of the president, focusing on, the priorities of the public, will the oversight come at that point? Because I think as we all saw the last time around, there were a number of instances where agencies that had priorities from the president couldn't get the job done because they were too busy spending taxpayer dollars on private jets, on ridiculous furniture, creating scandals of their own making. And I think it'll be interesting to see whether Trump goes to bat for some of these people or whether the oversight function will at least do that. We know that they will abide anything that Trump wants. How willing they are to stand by his cabinet and his cronies, I think is a different question. And I think maybe that, that could present an opportunity for
That sounds amazing,
bipartisanship,
SB.
give
Thank
some of
you.
these people cover to act like they're doing something. And, I'm happy to have accountability come regardless of the motivations of the people doing it.
Mike, what about you? What are you watching in the oversight context of the new Congress?
Well, I think I'll pick up on what Donald was saying. I think there is an opportunity for some bipartisan oversight. One of the things that I think happened during the first Trump administration is that there were so many scandals surrounding Trump personally that all of the oxygen was like taken up with that. And when you get to those kinds of issues, it becomes very difficult for people, even people who are people of a president's party, to break with them, even if they're critical of the behavior or whatever. If you're dealing with problems in the agencies or even cabinet officials, it becomes much easier, I think, for there to be bipartisanship. And it may be wise to start out the administration focusing more on those things. That's particularly true given the very narrow margins in the House. So you can easily imagine that if there's only 3 seats or less separating the parties, that just a handful of
Hi, Neil.
Republicans
Aw,
in the
thank
House who
you.
want to investigate something that isn't, at the thermonuclear level, right? They have a lot of power. So, for example, if the problem solvers, right, the House problem solvers, wanted to start being a clearinghouse for certain types of oversight, they would have the ability to do that. And it'd be very hard for the speaker to tell them no, given that he would depend on their vote. They would have more than enough votes to tip any vote in the House. And so,
Is he talking about the Problem Solvers Caucus or something like that? Isn't there an a quasi caucus within Congress? Is that what it is that he's referring to? Because I'm curious to know who's in that. I don't really think I understand who's in that. I think I'll look that up after, or we'll look it up together. Hold on. Here we go.
so that kind of oversight, I think, is important. We can also look at the use of the GAO to do oversight. So, for example, we were talking about the
I think the
Department of
GAO is
Government
going to go
Efficiency,
away.
right? And what is it? And how
It's going
does
to be
is
replaced
it a
by
FACA
Mazars.
committee, and what
Mazars
legal
is the new
authority does it have, and
GAO.
where does it get its funds from? Those are all things that GAO could look at pretty effectively, I think. And so, if you get, and really the Democrats don't need the Republicans to join in to make a request to GAO, but certainly if they had some bipartisan support for that, that would make GAO investigation and that kind of thing much more effective. And then we have to look at the issues regarding the minority's ability to conduct
It's okay.
oversight.
He should have a happy
During the
Thanksgiving
first
too.
Trump administration, there was a memo from the OLC, which I don't believe has ever been rescinded, that says that individual members of Congress, including ranking minority members, do not have the authority to conduct oversight in the sense that committees do. That is, while they can make requests to the executive branch, the OLC said there's no obligation, no constitutional obligation to provide the information or to engage in the accommodation process in order to give them information. And that was somewhat taken. I know Senator Grassley reacted very badly to that, and he got, I think, a letter from Mark Short in the Trump White House at the time that sort of walked that back a little bit, but it's still on the books. So we'll see if they go back to that, and whether there are members on the Republican side like Grassley who are willing to stand up for the process of oversight. And then I think there's just generally, when we talk about IGs and issues like that, a question of the institutional power of Congress to conduct oversight, and whether there'll be some focus on that, just a general matter. I think in that regard, the Supreme Court's recent decision in the presidential immunity case is important because it suggest that there's some certain things that the criminal justice system no longer has jurisdiction over,
God. Oh my
relating
God.
to presidential conduct
Oh
and
my God.
potentially even the conduct of other officials in the executive branch. And certainly Congress needs to take a look at that and see
I feel
what
like we
it
do have to
needs to
demand
be able to look
resignations
at
from
in order to
SCOTUS.
make sure that those things are not being just falling through the cracks. So there are a number of issues like that that I think Congress should be taking a look at.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think if I were about to be in the minority, I would be sending GAO requests now, given that they take a little bit of time to move along. But I think the other big thing that I am thinking about in terms of oversight is retribution that was promised and that the president-elect ran on. And I think I would not be surprised if congressional committees and the president's allies in Congress use their oversight authority to attack the president's critics. That's something that he has promised, that they have supported, but also it's something that Congress can do and give President Trump some distance from it. And so, I think that's something that I think that if and when it happens, that, the good government community and the press should sound the alarm. But I think it's something that would not surprise me at all, because, Trump has promised this for a long time. His nominees have promised retribution, and his supporters in Congress have done so. And even if they have a slim majority, you don't need a majority to send subpoenas. And so that's the other thing that I am thinking about, because they certainly don't have a vested interest in doing oversight of the executive branch. Well, with the exception of IGs and with the exception of going after people on Jack Smith's team and things like that, which I think they will also do. But those are the things that I am looking at, because I think they create a toxic environment that would allow Trump to deliver on his promise with cleaner hands than picking up the phone and calling the attorney general.
All right, I'm going to end that there. It's almost at the end, and I'll link that podcast in the description of the video. So yeah, SB, I will pull that up. I'm just going to finish reading this Guardian piece related to the conversation that we just heard around the recess appointments and other things. This one is from this morning. Excuse me. This is from yesterday evening. Or afternoon, if you will. And Trump's team, but delaying FBI vetting could also bring ancillary PR benefits for the Trump team if some political appointees run into problems during a background check, which could upend their Senate confirmation process, or if they struggle to obtain security clearances once in the White House. The putative process for obtaining a clearance in the first Trump administration involved the White House's Personnel Security Office relying on an FBI background check to decide whether to grant one. The background check initially looked for untrustworthiness or red flags that could be exploited by adversaries. If the initial checks against law enforcement databases uncovered no issues, applicants were granted an interim clearance while deeper investigations continued until it was advanced to a permanent clearance. The current Trump plan appears set to bypass that initial stage. Quote, the Trump-Vance transition lawyers continue to constructively engage with the Biden-Harris administration lawyers regarding all agreements contemplated by the Presidential Transition Act. We will update you once a decision is made, Trump spokesperson Brian Hughes said in a statement. Trump's team has long viewed the process with suspicion, arguing that it was pointless to have government employees have the ability to recommend against granting a security clearance, given Trump has the power as president to ultimately give clearances to whomever he likes. Trump himself has repeatedly railed against the FBI as being part of the deep state conspiracy to undermine his agenda. During the first Trump presidency, multiple advisors faced delays and hurdles in obtaining top-level clearances, including Trump's son-in-law, Jared. Trump advisor, Boris Epstein. Oh, we've been talking about you, Boris. And my former stalker, the controversial former Trump White House National Security aide, Sebastian Gorka. Kushner, who played a number of roles in the first administration and was involved in drawing up a Middle East peace plan, received his clearance only after Trump personally intervened and ordered it, according to a memo written by then White House Chief of Staff John Kelly. I know, socks, boots, I get it. In Kushner's case, officials in the White House Personnel Security Office were reportedly divided about whether to grant him a top-secret clearance based on the results of his FBI background check. In 2018, after the matter had dragged down for more than a year, the then White House counsel Don McGahn recommended to Trump that Kushner should not be granted a security clearance at that level. But Trump ordered Kelly to disregard that advice and grant it to Kushner anyway. The precise details of the concerns about Kushner are not known, although it was reported at the time that it resulted in part from concerns at the FBI and CIA about Kushner's foreign and business contacts. Oh my goodness. Including with Israel, Russia, and the United Arab Emirates. Well, what could go wrong? In 2019, a manager at the Personnel Security Office told the House committee that 25 people, including 2 senior Trump White House officials, had been denied clearances by career employees for disqualifying issues. The New York Times reported that Kushner appeared to be among that group. Boris Epstein left the Trump White House before he received a permanent clearance. While the Trump team has said his situation was resolved, it remains unclear what the resolution of his background check was. Epstein has been floated for a senior role in the incoming administration. Well, he's also getting pooped on by Elania. Okay? He's getting the big poop on by Elania. So I don't know if he's going to be the third son or not anymore. Gorka. It's about Dr. Gorka. Failed to obtain a National Security Council clearance when he was part of the first Trump administration in 2017, after he was charged with carrying a gun at Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport, according to the AP. Gorka was named on Friday as a deputy assistant to the president and senior director for counterterrorism. That's right. That's right. Wow. Let me see. Let me go. First, I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to... Where am I going? Oh, yeah. Right there. And then I'm gonna go over. Is it in the Twitters? Oh my God, Shooby-Doo, what the fuck? Where have you been? You butthole. No, I'm just kidding. I love you. Hi, Steve. How are you, darling? How are you? I miss you. Yeah, I think Kushner found Navarro on Amazon. That's funny. That's funny. Now that's some funny shit. I want to... Wait, where am I finding... Oh, I'm going to the other one. Meow. Meow. Meow, meow, meow. Oh. Oh, you tagged me. Did you tag me? What? Oh my God. I gotta... God, you guys find the best stuff. Can I tell you? What? Okay. Is that for real? Yeah. Wait, what? Yeah, you laugh, but for real he did. I know. I've been lurking. I am your silent stalker. Bum, bum, bum! I'm glad. Lurk away, babes. I'm just glad you're here. That's all. It's good to see you. You're smarty. You're a smarty falarty, and you're funny as fuck. I know. I'm not laughing, really. Oh, Brent Allpress reposted my thing. I have such a crush on you, Brent Allpress. I know you're probably happily married, and that's fine. Congratulations. But I do have a crush on him. Anyway, the point is that tonight on Discord, we're showing People You May Know, which features Brent Allpress and other amazing people. And it reminds us about fucking Cambridge Analytica and glue and all that stuff. And it's just fascinating. I love that documentary. I learn something every fucking time I watch it. I probably have watched it a dozen times. but I love it. So we're going to watch that tonight on Discord at 6:30 Pacific, 9:30 Eastern, etc., etc., etc. Please join us for that. Hi, Peace Love. How are you? So we're definitely going to be doing that. SB, I'm so sorry. Where am I tagged? Where am I tagged, babe? On the government workers speak up and start demanding answers about what basically Project 2025 is about to do with cutting red tape. They say everything. Oh, I want to find it. Yeah. Bow, 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 bow. Bow, 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 bow. Bow, 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 bow. Wow. What? Oh, wait. I got to play this. Teresa just shared something. Hold on. Stop. Hold on, darlings. Hold on, darlings. Let me put this over here. Let me put you over here, darling. Thank you, Teresa, for this little clippy clip. 42 seconds from Twitters.
ConstantineMilitary.com.
Thanks, Pat. Yesterday, Elon Musk said that he was in a meeting with senior military officers, and they discussed sort of Pentagon procurement and bureaucratic sort of snafus and what have you. Is Mr. Musk holding transition meetings with military officials?
I'm not aware of any transition meetings. Constantine, as you know, the president-elect's transition team has not contacted the department yet to conduct those transitions. So I'm not aware of any official meetings. Constantine, military.
Okay. This is from Howard Mortman. DOD General Ryder, Trump transition team has not contacted us yet. Very interesting. Very interesting. Thank you, Teresa, for that. I really appreciate that. We did watch. Oh, wait. You probably already watched the Jackson. Hi, Joe. On what? They had meetings on a Twitter space. Oh, my God. Oh, Hinkle. Well, I didn't watch the new one because I probably missed the link that Gal might have dropped. So hold on. Let me go. Let me find the tag. Oh, damn it. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm just not going far down enough. Oh, shit. Wait, tell me again. Oh, thank you. Musk shouldn't even be involved in that shit. However, the problem is that he has Starlink, and Teal has Palantir, and Eric Prince has whatever the fuck. I'm going to tell you right now, the calls are coming from inside the house. They're already there. Lucky Palmer has drones that are contracted by the U.S. military. They're already there. Asking for 74 million Americans. Yikes. I know, Amway. Seriously. Yes, yeah, Amway. Oh my God. Oh yeah, no, I don't want to get into that. I have another rabbit hole that I went down, but I don't want to talk about it because frankly, I can't even handle it. I can't handle it. Let me see. Did I get the link? Shit. I didn't. Let me see this. He used funds. Ex-FBI informant accused of false. Oh, is this the new? Oh, this is the new charges for. The rabbits don't like that. Yeah, I know. I don't blame them, frankly. I mean, get out of there. Get out of there, duck. You put it in signal. Okay, hold on. There's so many things happening right now. Hold on. And I'm still just a little bit high. Okay, here we go. Hold on. No, stop. Okay. Oh, this is great. I love this. All right. Oh, here we go. Is that the same thing? Wait, I think it is. Maybe not. I can't tell. No, don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. I love you. What do you mean, congratulations? What happened? What did I do? Did I do something? Ah, stop! Why are we doing all that? Okay, here we go. All right, here we go. Crazy. Crazy. All right, this is 9 minutes. Grab your weed. Isn't it how they scammed their fortune, Prince and DeVos family? No, you're not. Pepper, you're right. You're absolutely right. It's Amway. I think they married Amway. Right? I think she married Amway. Or maybe they were Amway. I don't know. But regardless, there is a connection, and you're right. All right, here we go. And SB, I'm going to find whatever you're trying to send me. I'm so sorry. It's probably a me problem. So here we go. Let's watch this. Russian disinfo.
Доброе утро, дорогие друзья.
Утро.
Сложный день, потому что после удара орешником идиоты ничего не поняли и нанесли демонстративный удар атакамсами по аэродрому в Курске с нулевыми по результатами, реально там из 6 атакамсов 5 сбиты, 1 самолетов там не было. Ну, то есть это была демонстрация, показать, что нет, мы ничего не боимся.
I'm sorry, when is this from? Is this from today? Oh, fucking what? Get out of here. 16 hours ago. Oh, I'm going to subscribe. Okay. Sorry. I'll continue.
То есть ясно, что это вообще все было исключительно для того, чтобы показать нам, мол, вот смотрите, нам на все плевать, мы будем продолжать делать тот ужас, который делаем. Напоминаю, мы продолжаем сбор. 50 миллионов за 2 недели. Таковы были наши амбициозные планы. Спасибо всем, кто нас поддерживает. Напомню.
Wait. If rubles are a penny... Wait a minute. Hold on. 0.01 times 50, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's $500,000. What is that going to buy?
Что каждый рубль, который вы направляете в наш фонд, идет на закупки оборудования, техники, самые разнообразные прицелы, средства связи, мотоциклы, все, что нужно нашим бойцам. Мы этих людей знаем, выполняем их конкретные заказы. Вот наведите ваши телефоны в правом углу, QR-код. Следуйте инструкциям. А у нас в студии Jackson Hinkle, американский журналист. Jackson, it's a pleasure.
Джексон, для меня большая честь. Спасибо. Надеюсь, Третья мировая война не начнется во время нашей сегодняшней программы. Было бы здорово, конечно. Но это не то, чего мы ожидаем прямо сейчас, потому что после этого ничего не останется. Как так получается, что США не хотят слушать? Там есть вообще с кем говорить? Но должны остаться люди, например, генерал.
Ding-ding-ding-ding-ding-ding-ding-ding. Ding-ding-ding-ding-ding-ding-ding-ding. Is horror show. It is a horror show. A horror show, horror show. Ding, 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 ding. Arrest Mike Flynn. Sorry about the confusion on the dubbing and stuff, but pay attention to if you can, look at the screen. There are captions that will help navigate the cacophony. but I just love Russian. Don't you love Russian? It's one of the most beautiful languages, I think, in the world. Is Flynn calling for nuclear war? I'm not shocked. He needs... well, actually, he won. Why isn't he just sitting back and, I don't know, sleeping with, Laura Loomer? I don't know. Why isn't he just doing something, why isn't he taking a break?
Майкл Флинн, он занимал серьезную позицию в администрации Трампа. Знаете, необходимо провести импичмент Байдена. Байден не понимает, где он находится. Он не понимает, что у него было на завтра. Да, статья 25. Статья 25. Профессор из Иллинойса, который говорил о статье по импичменту. Это необходимо сделать за то, что разрешили использовать ракеты средней дальности по территории России. Знаете, Колберт заявила, что это госизмена со стороны Байдена. То, что он делает, это госизмена. Они пытаются сделать все в своих силах, чтобы мира не было. Они хотят разрушить США, они хотят разрушить весь мир. К сожалению, Тулси — это единственный человек, помимо Илона Маска, в администрации Трампа, кто обеспокоен тем, что делает Байден. Знаете, Трамп выбирает плохих людей. Люди, которые хотят этой войны, они хотят этой эскалации, они не против горячей фазы войны, в которой будет втянута США. Но Тулси будет очень серьезную позицию в администрации Трампа. Она будет отвечать за надзор всеми 17 агентствами, которые отвечают за национальную безопасность, за разведку. Но необходимо дождаться 20 января. Есть ли какой-либо шанс того, чтобы американский народ прислушался к голосу разума, чтобы они понимали, что происходит на Украине, что происходит в России? Они делают все возможное тем, чтобы запретить RT. Знаете, у меня никаких проблем с этим нет. Я готов обратиться к американцам и рассказать, что происходит на Украине. Зеленский должен стоять на коленях и просить президента Путина. Мне нравится то, что говорит Дмитрий Саймс-младший. Он говорит, я постоянно смотрю с пессимизмом на эту ситуацию. Я не знаю, как это правильно перевести на русский, но он говорит об этом. Если посмотрим на тех людей, которые окружают Трампа, Майкл Уотс, который будет отвечать за национальную безопасность, он будет советником Трампа, он говорит, то, что необходимо разрушить Кремль. И вот новый постоянный представитель в ООН от США говорит то, что Путин совершает геноцид на Украине. Это люди сошли с ума. Эти идиоты, которые открывают свой рот и что-то произносят, а затем Трамп говорит, посмотрите, он идиот, он идиот. Послушайте, я хороший парень, а это идиот. Смотрите, что он говорит. Я один из главных врагов Запада, согласно им. Я в списке санкций вообще в любой стране, которую посмотрите, но не в США. Знаете, я уважаемый житель Алабамы, я пока... Да, у меня есть звание вот этого вот заслуженного гражданина Алабамы. Это еще с 90-х годов. Они не могут ввести санкции? Конечно, не могут. Вот давайте посмотрим то, что у вас списки санкций во всех государств, и вы потом участвуете в шоу Алекса Джонса, и вы всем нравитесь, и потом о вас говорят. Да, да, мы говорили о политике. Я должен следовать правилам, ну, ничего страшного. В России есть чувство семьи, есть чувство достоинства. И есть в Америке тоже места, где это почитается. Но здесь у вас уровень сознания, который трудно найти в США. На прошлой неделе я был в семье моей девушки, они русские, ее бабушка. Евгения, знаете, она так удивилась, она обрадовалась, когда я сказала то, что буду участвовать в вашей программе. Поэтому есть осознанность, и трудно в Америке найти этот уровень осознанности. Да, мы отличаемся от вас, в этом проблема, поскольку больше нет людей, которые работают на Белый дом. Были эксперты раньше, которые любили в Россию, которые разбирались в России, но вот эти вот разжигатели войны в США просто не готовы слушать этих экспертов. Это большая проблема. Для того, чтобы просто разозлить западных лидеров, я хотел, чтобы Россия освободила Украину. У России есть все силы для этого. И то, как ведут западные лидеры себя, это сумасшествие. Джексон, приезжайте чаще. Джексон.
У нас в студии вот такой молодой и очень талантливый американский журналист.
All right. Anyway, Jackson needed a translator for the Russians who were watching, so they translated when they broke into English. Yeah, boo. I didn't understand what he's saying about like Mike Waltz and Tulsi and stuff, but whatever. I this is all a mind fuck, and I don't really need to pay too close attention to that particular part of the mind fuck. But what a yeah. So I wonder, you know, here's the thing. So when I've been in, the reason I say Russian is beautiful is because my degree from college is in Russian language and literature. So I've just been a Russophile since college. And I really enjoyed the history and stuff like that. I know, I'm a nerd. And it was the 80s and stuff like that. NSA would come on campus, try to recruit the Russian and German students at that time, which were all part of the same department. And, you know, I rejected that as not something that I wanted to get involved in and use my Russian for. I was pretty much a heartbroken alcoholic by that point. So I happened to be good at languages. I had a good ear for languages, and I had a wonderful professor who was he passed away from cancer while we were all studying with him, but he was just a paragon in the Russian language, scholarship, if you will, and we went to Russia, went to the Soviet Union in 1984, it was 1984 we went as a school trip. And, I had friends who are Russian, and I love Moscow. There's just something about that. And the people are so wonderful, and they've been through so much and all that. So, yeah, I detest the leadership and the crime and the oligarchs, but I love Russia, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful place. Even the cities, there's something about them that are just really amazing and just steeped in history. And I'm a little bit of a history nerd, but I'm not a very good one. Anyway, so one of the things I know from being in the Soviet Union in the 80s, and that we were talked about very much before we went there, is that we would be followed, you know, and of course we had to check in with Intourist. So you always had to make sure that the tourist bureau, Intourist is what they called it, which was part of the government. You always had to check in with them to say where you're going and where you're going to be and all that kind of stuff. So very much a surveillance society. You know, it was very clear. We actually had to like sneak over to, because one of the students at my university had married a Russian. And so we went to her family's house for dinner one night, and we had to be all clandestine about, you know, where we were going. They did want Levi's. I mean, that was a big thing. So all the things, you know, about the Soviet Union. I was also there in 1998 after, and with a boyfriend of mine whose brother worked for Gazprom as a British expat over there. So I have a tiny bit of experience being in Russia, pre-Soviet and post-Soviet. And what I know is that you are always being watched. And you are always, we were warned that there are cameras in the hotel rooms because we stayed at the National, which is right off Red Square when I was in there in the 80s. And they told us, you know, there will be cameras in the room, you know, you will be and it wasn't to scare us. It was just like, these are the things that happen. So I know that Jackson probably has a few tapes, right? You never know. So that is very clearly documented as a way that the KGB and now the FSB operates in order to get people compliant, the compromat, all of that. Of course, they didn't do compromat on college students. I was not ever that important. They just wanted to know where you were at all times. So that control was really a big part of it. Anyway, and they weren't very nice about it. And Aeroflot was scary. Anyway. But I love Russia. I have a beautiful picture of Red Square. I got to find that because I went out one morning when we were there and I took a picture of Red Square as the sun was rising. And it's so beautiful. And I love Moscow. I really do. I love Moscow. Leningrad or St. Petersburg is great. But man, there's something about Moscow to me that just really warms my heart and scares the hell out of me. Any old way. So that's why it's interesting about Jackson Hinkle, because, you know, a million things could have transformed him from, you know, environmental passionate kid from, you know, Orange County to Russian talking head, you know. So clearly, you know, anti-Ukrainian, anti-democracy, anti-whatever. So it's very interesting. It's very, very, very interesting. Very interesting. All right. You know what? I think it's 3.5 hours. I think I'm going to go ahead and end here. SB, I will find the stuff that you have been trying to share with me, and we will play it tomorrow morning, or if I come back on. He was dating Miss Moscow for a while. Oh, yeah, and he did marry a Russian woman, right? Similar to Pussy Bitch, right? Jack Pussy Bitch married a Russian, didn't he? Isn't she Russian? George Papadopoulos married a Russian. Oh, she's Italian. Wait, she's Russian. Yeah, I am. I'm glad to live here too. I've been in enough Belarusian. Well, it's the same difference sometimes, depending on where you come from within that country or who you are. It could be the same as Russian. I don't know. I voted for the lawyer lady. Oh, Oren. I mean, that's the thing. The Russian Empire, that's such a beautiful part of the world and such an amazing culture and all of that. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, Carrie. So it doesn't, you know, God, it didn't have to be this way. I guess it maybe, I don't know. Did it? No, it can't. That's not possible. Anyway. Hey, thanks for coming this morning and spending so much time. I really appreciate it. One of my grandmothers came from present-day Belarus. Oh, Richard Spencer. was married to Alexander Dugin's translator at one point. I'm telling you right now, there's a Russia problem. There's a lot of honeypotting off of white nationalists. White nationalists are susceptible to honeypots. Who knew? Where are your mothers? No, never mind. I don't want to know. All right. Thanks again for coming today. I will be on Discord tonight. Don't forget, we're watching People You May Know. Tonight on Discord, there I'll reshare the link to the Discord channel and the instructions. So please, 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 of course, thank you. Please tune in tonight and watch that movie again. You learn something new every time you watch it. So even if you've seen it, god darn it, come on into chat. Come on into chat. And then tomorrow morning, I'll be here for Wake and Bake as per usual with lots of tidbits. And then tomorrow afternoon or sometime, or maybe after I finish whatever Wake and Bake, we'll make cookies. Let's make peanut butter cookies and hang out and listen to music and probably try not to get ended. All right, I want to play you that video one more time. Hold on. Wait, hold on. I want to play you my silly video, which isn't really the final video, but it's good enough. Hold on, everybody. Don't leave me. Don't leave me. I think it's this one. Oh, actually, this is the viddy. This is the viddy. It's the viddy. Hold on. Don't play out. Remember, I have to play you both songs, okay? This one's just the fun video, but it's not really. I like the other song version a lot better, actually, if I'm going to be honest. Hold on. I'm going to do this. Hold on. Don't leave me yet, because this is important. This is going to make you happy after all that sad shit. Trust me. Okay, good. Don't leave. Oh, wrong one. Oh, wrong one. Okay, fine. Wait, why aren't you doing this? Okay. That's not it. Oh, wait, maybe I need to do something. Hold on. All right, hold on. There we go. Okay, so this is a dumb video. Oh, okay, I see what we're doing now. We've got two of them. Okay, I get it. All right, so this is the dumb video, and the version of the song, I'm not sure. I think I like the other version better, which I'll play right after this. But anyway, hang out. It's only like less than a minute.
Rockin' from a lounge, shutting the fascists down, fighting the facts so fast we make the fun times last. At Lolo's Lounge, Lolo's Lounge, the best of damn friends in the whole damn town.
I do like this.
Around the lounge, shutting the fascists down, finding the facts so fast we make the fun times last. At Lolo's Lounge, Lolo's Lounge, the best damn friends in the whole damn town.
All right, so that's that. But then this is the other song I haven't done a video to yet. But I think I like this next version of the song a little better than the, I don't know.
Rockin' from a lounge, shutting the fascists down, fighting the facts so fast we make the fun times last. At Lolo's Lounge, rockin' round the lounge, shutting the fascists down.
Trump.
Fighting the facts so
In my version,
fast,
he blows up.
we make
Sorry.
the fun times last. At Lolo's Lounge, Lolo's Lounge, the best damn friends in the whole damn town.
Yeah, I think I like this one better.
Rocking around the lounge, shutting the fascists down, finding the facts so fast we make the fun times last. At Lolo's Lounge, Lolo's Lounge, the best damn friends in the whole damn town.
think I like that one better. All right. So that's Lolo's Lounge. Lolo's Lounge. Shutting the fascists down. Oops. Everybody wants to get tipsy. All right. It's fun, huh? That was fun. Anyway, thanks for coming. Yeah, that's supposed to be Trump. And then I had this little explosion that was supposed to go over him, but then all of a sudden it didn't happen and the video kind of fucked up and I got really frustrated. And I said, I need to walk away from this because it's giving me an anxiety attack. Jen Griffey! All right. Thank you, my loves. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Love you guys. And I will see you hopefully on the Discord tonight. Watch out for those little announcements. They'll come all over. And take care. Have a great Wednesday. I hope you get some time off. I hope you're getting some time off to be restored. Okay? Restoration. That's the key. All right? Okay. I love you guys.